Hello everyone, welcome to What If Isay Had Powers of Escanor and Satoru Gojo in Record of Ragnarok movie. Before we start, please go support Jods89 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Isay is a male. What happens when everyone turns their back on you when you are in the deepest darkness? The answer is simple. You trust your own race. Humans will rise up against any tyranny and show that they are the strongest. The arrival to the fight. In the large room you could see several figures of different sizes. These were the gods of each mythology and culture. They gathered to decide the fate of their creation, humanity. But the result of its complete extinction. Well, since the decision will be made, said an old man with a cane sitting on a throne next to a dragon. Well then, listen to me everyone. It's been 1000 years since we all met here. Let's start the conference. One of the three supreme gods, Zeus, father of the cosmos, Greek. Zeus. Well, now humanity will be completely exterminated. Everyone would nod in affirmation. Zeus was about to hit a desk with a mallet to give the order. But in that. Wait, shouted a female voice. Everyone turns around and sees a very beautiful black-haired woman. Brunhild, the eldest of the 13 Valkyrie sisters, Nordica. Brunhild. I know humanity has done terrible things, but what about you? They do nothing to correct them, so they are as guilty as they said. Seriously. The gods are only bothered by his attitude. Zeus. And tell me, Valkyrie, what do you propose? Said the old man. Brunhild. I propose a fight. The creation versus the creator. Humans vs gods. Ragnarok. A 13 versus 13 fight. 1 versus 1 fights, the one who kills his opponent wins. Brunhild. If humanity wins 7 rounds, they will continue to live for another 1000 years, but if the gods win, they will exterminate humanity. Everyone falls silent because of those words. Ha 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 was a voice that started to laugh coming from a man with 4 arms and purple skin. One of the 3 supreme gods, Shiva, god of destruction, Hindu. Shiva. Your proposal is stupid, Valkyrie. We have divine powers and weapons, no human can match us, he said very confidently. Are you stupid, demigoddess? A white crow spoke. It isn't, it's mega stupid, said a black crow. Both birds were on the shoulders of a black-haired man with an eye patch. White raven. Stupid demigoddess. Black raven. How dare you open your filthy mouth at this conference of gods? The last of the 3 supreme gods, Odin the Allfather, Nordic. Odin. Tell me, Brunhild, said the man seriously with a very deep voice. Why do you think humanity managed to win that tournament? The man said seriously. Brunhild. Every race has the same opportunity to fight, no matter what the challenge, they have to fight for their survival. Zeus. That's true, but tell me, do you have something prepared? Isn't it? Brunhild smiles at that. Brunhild. In fact, now that you mention it, I have a human who will fight 3 times, and also a human who always accompanies him, she said with a smile, confusing everyone. Odd one. A human couldn't even fight us for a second, and you have one who will fight 3 times. Odd 2. Don't make us laugh. Odd 3. Are you underestimating us? He said angrily. Zeus. Ha. Everyone sees Zeus starting to laugh. Zeus. Ha. He started laughing like crazy. Zeus. Fine then, since I'm bored I'll accept your proposal. Ragnarok has begun, said the god, hitting the hammer hard. Brunhild leaves the room with her smile. Later. Sister, shouted a female voice behind Brunhild. The black-haired girl turns around and sees a purple-haired girl. The youngest of the 13 Valkyrie sisters, Jer, Nordica. Jer. Why did you do it? Because you challenged the gods, she said, scared. Brunhild. Jer, look, you're still very young. You should know that our bond with humanity is far greater than that of the gods. Jer. Yes, but a human versus god, that is very exaggerated and impossible. Brunhild. I know, but I have some secret weapons that will guarantee us victory, she said with a smile. Jer. Also, who is that human who will fight 3 times? He said with fear. Brunhild. He is a human who I knew little, but he hates all supernatural beings equally. I don't know his origin or where he is from. I only know that it has a power that is beyond our imagination. It was difficult to convince him, but in the end I managed it. Let's go get him, he said with a smile. Both women head to a room where they see an orange-haired boy with an immense aura of power. Jer. That's it, she said, scared by his aura. It seems the time has come, he said seriously. Brunhild. Yes, now I'll prepare you, she said with a smile. The young man stares at her without saying a word. Brunhild. You will have a Valkyrie as a companion. The young man suddenly stands up to emanate more power, scaring both women. I don't want to fight side by side with a damn supernatural being, said the young man very annoyed. The young man sighs and then speaks again. Besides, I already have a weapon, said the young man, raising his hand, causing a light to reach him, revealing a golden axe with references to the sun. Both women feel a divine aura coming from that axe. Brunhild. Impossible, that's your weapon, she said, shocked. The young man raises the axe with one hand and then heads to the arena to begin his fight. Both women said nothing, but in the mind of one of them there was a mess. Brunhild. Why her hatred towards the supernatural and most importantly how she has that power set in her mind. A while later. In the large stadium you see all the gods and humans wanting to win the fights. On one side the gods were confident and on the other the humans had faith in winning. In a box on the human side. Jer. It's time for me to start, she said, scared. Brunhild. I say the same, little sister, she said seriously. In the center you can see a figure with a strange horn. The watchman of the apocalypse said it shouting. Heindel. The rules are simple 1 versus 1 fights. 13 of both sides, the one who finishes off his rival wins, he said excitedly. Now I will introduce the fighters from both sides. On the side of the gods, he said, pointing to a door where it is opening. At that point, at the end of a hallway, a red-haired man is seen sitting with a huge hammer at his feet. The man stands up to load the hammer on his shoulder where he begins to walk towards the combat arena. The first fight. Introducing the first fighter on the side of the gods. This man. Everyone knows this god. Everyone wants to see his full power. His Mjolnir can even pulverize the seas and land. If he doesn't fight, who will? Live fighting and die fighting. The most powerful Norse. The berserker of thunder. The god Thor. Eridid had arrived at the arena being the most powerful son of Odin. First fighter of the gods the vanguard Thor, Nordic. Jer. That's Thor Sama, she said, scared. Brunhild said nothing. Heindel. And now the stupid one who will fight Thor said as the human doors opened revealing a hallway where huge footsteps begin to be heard. Heindel. It's Brunhild's secret weapon. Its origin and where it's from are not known, it's only known that he will fight to protect humanity. He hates all supernatural beings, calling himself the ultimate human. His power comes from the work of his masters, he will show that even a human is at the top. LS Haidu Isay. He said as a boy with incredible muscles entered the arena, being very tall, almost 3 meters tall, with orange hair, beautiful blue eyes, and a face with fine but toned features. He wore a white shirt with a sun ornament and on his shoulder, he held a huge golden axe. His aura was of pure power and he entered the arena walking and every step he took made the sand tremble and his serious gaze made some people scared. First human fighter Isay Haidu the vanguard of humanity. Nobody said anything, that boy was really human, that was the thought of several people watching the boy. The women, for their part, some blushed with hearts in their eyes and others with a trickle of blood coming out of their noses, both goddesses and humans were there. Goddess 1. That's the first human fighter, she said, shocked. Goddess 2. I admit he's very cute, she said blushing. God 1. He is very tall and intimidating, he said scared. God 2. His aura is of heat, he said, shocked. In that. Versetti the Nordic god of justice. Isay, upon hearing those words, just looks at the god with hatred, raising his aura. The Norse god, seeing that look, quickly shows indescribable fear. Versetti. Why am I so scared? He's just a human. The god said fearfully, hugging his body in fear. Heindel. It seems that the first fight has begun. The fight of the strongest. In the box of both sides. Zeus. It seems the list of fighters has arrived, said the god, looking at the list. Brunhild. Let's hope these warriors win, she said with a smile. Jer. Sister, can I see her too? Brunhild shows Jer the list. Jer. Those will be the god killers, she said worriedly. Brunhild. Yes, these fighters are the god-killing warriors. Los Einarjars. Gods. Zeus, Greek. Odin, Norse. Shiva, Hindu. Susanu, no Mikoto, Japanese. Thor, Norse. Poseidon, Greek. Anubis, Egyptian. Loki, Norse. Hades, Greek. Tezcatlipoca, Aztec. Sunflower, Chinese. The Shamantan, Japanese. Pericles, Greek. Humanity. Isay Haidu. Esdith. Lubu House, Chino. Braden Tamaman, Japanese. Leonidas, Greek. Nikola Tesla, Serbia. Simo Heha, Finland. Grigory Rasputin, Russian. Alexander the Great, Greek. Napoleon Bonaparte, Francis. Simonos A. Antonio Bolivar, Venezuelan. Silikatsin, Mexican Aztec. Chester Bennington, United States. Heindel. The first round has started, the strongest now yes. Isay vs Thor. Fight. The fight of the strongest. Heindel, after introducing both fighters, grabs his horn tightly and blows with all his might. Heindel. The first fight has begun, he said, withdrawing from the arena. Isay and Thor face each other. Isay. I know you're strong, but you see me as someone inferior. Tell me something, God, are you looking for an interesting fight? He said seriously. Thor said nothing and walks to Isay. Isay also does the same. The whole audience was amazed by that action. Both were just looking for something. The claim to the title of the strongest. Both were in front of each other. Isay raises his axe to launch the first attack. Thor raises his hammer blocking the human's attack. But because of that, the force generated in the collision raises a strong current of wind. Thor throws a blow that Isay stops with his axe. Leaving the Norse god shocked. Heimdall. Both warriors are even, he said, shocked. Thor throws another punch, but Isay blocks it again, as if it were nothing. Thor backs away from this as he raises his hand which begins to generate electricity. Heimdall. Thor is preparing an attack to kill Isay in one fell swoop. Odin. Seriously, Thor, that human is powerful, he said, watching his son's actions with interest. The ravens of the Norse god just start saying that Thor got bored and wants to kill him in one fell swoop. A technique that in the past was capable of destroying an army of up to 66 Jotunheim's, ice giants. Thor brings his hand with electricity towards the hammer to prepare his attack. The thunder reckler. D. After throwing that punch, a huge thunderclap falls on the sand, raising a cloud of smoke. Zeus. Haha, it seems he's already dead. Shiva. Bored, said the god sighing. Jer. This is the power of the gods, she said, scared. Brunhild said nothing but that. Slash was the sound heard in the cloud of dust. When the powder dissolves it looks something shocking. Thor's chest had a huge wound. Odin. Impossible, he said, unable to believe it. The god saw this in shock. Heimdall. Thor is the first to receive a wound, he said, shocked. Thor. Wow, that power is a waste on a human like you, said the god with a smile, looking at Isay. Isay raises his axe showing that he had blood on the blade. Zeus. But as he said, shocked. Zeus saw him as said a black-haired man in a butler's suit. Hermes the messenger god, Greek. Zeus. Hermes, what do you need? Hermes. I have information that this human possesses a divine weapon. Zeus. But how? Hermes. I think it comes from another world just like this name said pointing to a name on the list was Esdith. Zeus. Another world, that is, another dimension, he said, shocked. Hermes. Yes, apart from that, the Valkyries will use a weapon that they have. Bolland, the forging of divine treasure. And with that they will become weapons for humans. Zeus. I see this is it. Incredible ecstatic scream. It's the greatest emotion I've ever felt, even more than the Big Bang, I shouted happily and then looked towards the Valkyries. In the sand. Isay threw slashes with his axe that Thor stopped with his hammer. Thor throws a crushing blow that Isay stops. Isay. Wow, you're good, he said with a smile. Thor smiles as well, throwing multiple blows that Isay blocked with his axe. Isay steps back and then raises his hand, thus creating a miniature sun. Everyone was shocked by what they saw. God 1. That's a sun. God 2. It's not possible. God 3. He really is human, he said, shocked. Zeus. Oh, this is getting better and better, he said watching the fight. Isay jumps above Thor and then throws the miniature sun. Isay. Cruel sun. Thor would block it with his hammer, but the sun would collide with it and create a huge explosion of fire that would leave Thor with several burns. Heimdall. Incredible. Thor Sama received a full fire attack, he said shocked. Humans. Come on Isay, defeat him, they said excitedly. Isay launches himself at Thor, appearing in front of him and launching a cut at his cheek. Thor throws a punch that Isay stops and then begins to struggle. Thor smiles at this as they both back away. Thor. I admit I'm getting excited, he said with a smile. Isay was going to say something, but then he heard a strange noise. Isay. But what did he say, confused. Thor. Oh, it seems you woke up, Sleepyhead said, looking at the hammer. The hammer produced a sound like a heartbeat and expelled an immense aura of heat. Thor released it while the hammer was on the ground and it beat harder. The hammer would reveal some veins. Zeus. You see, Hermes, the legend of Mjolnir's hammer has a flaw, and that is that supposedly Thor's gloves, the Jarngreeper, were created to protect Thor from the hammer, but in reality, if the hammer awakens, Thor can use all of its power without the hammer exploding, he said with a smile. Hermes. Wow, this is something very interesting. Zeus. This is something worth seeing even for the gods themselves. In the sand. Thor begins to take off his gloves and then approaches his hammer. Thor. Come on Sleepyhead, let's do this together, he said, lifting his hammer with one hand and then putting the hammer on his shoulder. Thor. You're human, no, your name was Isay, right? I have a request to give you, he said as he raised his hammer. Thor. Don't die now, he said, making Isay smile at this. Isay. Go ahead, God, show me what you have, he said with a smile of happiness for continuing to fight. Heimdall. Even though Mjolnir has awakened, Thor has no problem attacking Isay. Thor prepares his hammer. Thor grabs his hammer tightly and then throws it at Isay. He didn't expect that and then dodges that attack. Heimdall. Thor failed his attack. Don't wait, look, he said, pointing as the hammer continued flying and then went in the direction of Thor, who was approaching Isay. Isay, seeing this, raises his finger, creating a colored sphere. That it amazed everyone again. Isay. Cursed red reverse technique. Said Isay, still with the sphere on his finger. Thor would appear in front of him, having already grabbed his hammer, preparing a blow. Using all of its released centrifugal force to thus deliver a crushing blow. White Crow. Impossible to use that. Black Crow. With that technique he killed Jormungandr, the world's serpent. Odin. That Isay is really strong. Thor's technique is known as Gerod. Thor throws his punch, but before it hits him, Isay throws the red sphere, causing it to begin to expand. Making a large sphere that receives Thor's attack full on. A large serious explosion was created by the collision of both attacks, creating a large smoke screen. Where little by little as they disperse, Thor and Isay are seen wounded but still standing. Everyone was in shock. Heimdall. Despite the brutal clash of techniques, both are still standing, he said, unable to believe it. Thor. You're the one, he said with a smile. Isay was confused. Thor. You are the one, the rival that I wanted to have for a long time, he shouted, completely happy, surprising everyone. Thor. Now I will show you all my power. He said, raising his hand with electricity and then bringing it to his chest, causing the electricity to pass through his veins. Making Thor's body turn black, his hair stands up and his eyes and veins begin to shine, beginning to release a lot of power. Thor. I present to you my maximum power. Heavenly Thunder Mode said with his maximum power to the maximum. Everyone was in shock until Isay. Ha 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 ha, okay, it's my turn too. He said as he released more power, causing the sand to begin to release a lot of heat where Isay was surrounded by his sun. Everyone couldn't believe what they were seeing, but Thor was more than happy. Both of them launched themselves, starting a fight of forces, launching attacks with their weapons without stopping, creating strong wind currents with each blow. Heimdall. What an incredible fight, spectators said, speechless and excited. Both continued like this until they separated again, preparing their last attack. Thor throws his hammer again, which goes spinning like crazy in the air. And Thor has a lot of accumulated electricity in his hands. For his part, Isay raises his axe and on it you can see a sun surrounding it. And Isay had a lot of power, making an illusion be created where a giant Isay would be seen with his axe high up. No one could believe what they saw, without a doubt a completely new power. Divine. Thor grabs his hammer as he again uses centrifugal force to deliver a crushing blow. Both launched their best attacks. Thor. Thunder Crasher. Scanner. Super Solar Cut. Both of them unleashed their maximum powers, creating a huge explosion that would make the entire arena tremble. Everyone watched this speechlessly until everything calmed down and they saw something surprising. Thor was split into two parts. And his hammer was equally destroyed. Nobody could believe what they were seeing. The humans started to scream, being very happy for winning the first round, and the gods didn't say anything. They couldn't believe what had happened. Heimdall. Electricity, electricity. The winner of the first round of Ragnarok is the human. Isay Haidu. Humanity takes the lead in this Ragnarok. Humans. YESSSS. Isay vs Thor. Editor. Isay Haidu. Time. 17 minutes and 16 seconds. Final technique. Super Solar Cut. Weapons destroyed. Mjolnir Hammer. Humanity. 1. Odds. 0. They responded with silence. Heimdall. Who would have expected this ending? The first fight ended with the victory of the humans' trump card Isay Haidu. Humans. Isay Isay Isay, the humans shouted in unison, very happy. The orange-haired man looks where the gods are and says. Isay. You better get ready because I will eliminate the supernatural, said the orange-haired man as he headed to the exit of the arena. Odin. Thor, my son died, he said wordlessly and then went down to the arena grabbing the remains of his son's hammer. Odin aims at Isay with hatred. Odin. Listen to me well human, he said referring to Isay. Isay just turns around and looks at Odin. Odin. I will kill you myself in the most brutal way. You heard me, he shouted angrily. Isay. Well, come and try it, you old shit. He shouted at Odin. Impacting everyone for that reason. Both look at each other with hatred and then leave the arena. Brunhild. See that, gods, that is the power of humans, she said happily. Jer. Humanity has managed to rise above the gods themselves, said the little Valkyrie happily. Brunhild. Not yet, Jer, the time has come to choose the next warrior of the humans, she said, determined to win. Jer. Yes, she said, determined. Both Valkyries retreat. This has just begun. The fighting must continue. After the first fight, the gods got quite upset and decided to take this more seriously, and because of that Ragnarok must continue. 2. Silikatsin vs Bishamontan combat. In this fight, Bishamontan knew of the power of humans with a divine weapon, so instead of being confident, he went all out from the beginning with the intention of killing the human in one go, while the warrior used his will in the form of a mace, Mikuahild, attacking at high speeds, and so it went on for a while, until both launched their best attacks, where Bishamontan emerged victorious. Silikatsin vs Bishamontan. Winner. Bishamontan. Time. 8 minutes and 6 seconds. Final technique. Stroke of Fortune. Destroyed weapons. Mace Mikuahild. Humanity. 1. Odds. 1. 3. Grigory Rasputin vs Anubis fight. In the third fight, the immortal fought against death, where Rasputin used his black magic and his chain-shaped weapon to put Anubis in trouble. However, the god used his forbidden technique known as soul explosion, where he absorbed all the souls he collected in his life, and in this way he surpassed the human to finally extract his soul, and in this way achieve another victory for his side. Grigory Rasputin vs Anubis. Winner. Anubis. Time 12 minutes and 5 seconds. Destroyed weapons. Chains and staff of Anubis. Final technique. Soul stealing. Humanity. 1. Odds. 2. 4. Combat Simoheha vs Loki. In the fourth fight the gods were very confident of winning, that is because after the last fights, they thought that the only problem would be Isay, but in this fight, there was a result that nobody expected, and that is that the White Death Simo hid and made use of the terrain where he was in order to give problems to the father of lies, not even with his magic could he eliminate him immediately, however both ended in a draw after using their best techniques. Simoheha vs Loki. Winner. Tie. Time. 8 minutes and 7 seconds. Final technique. Hope shot chains of Ragnarok. Weapons destroyed. Loki's chains. Humanity. 1. Odds. 2. Draws. 1. 5. Simonos A. Antonio Bolivar vs Poseidon fight. In this fight the Liberator faced tyranny again, and that was something he should not accept, so the human, taking advantage of the fact that his opponent was very confident, decided to go with everything he had, despite the fact that his rival was more powerful. But for Bolivar that was not a problem, since he carried the will of all his people, and in the final move the Liberator managed to achieve the second victory for humanity, making the gods even more upset. Simon Bolivar vs Poseidon. Winner. Simon Bolivar. Time. 15 minutes and 7 seconds. Final technique. Freedom cut. Weapons destroyed. Poseidon's trident. Humanity. 2. Odds. 2. Draws. 1. Before the 6th round. Humanity's stage. Brunhild. Take that, bastards. We've managed to kill one of the most dangerous. She said happily for Simon Bolivar's victory. Jer. From the beginning I thought that Isay would be the only one capable of defeating the gods, but this shows that all humans are strong, he said happily. Then a message arrives for Brunhild. Message. The next fighter of the gods is Susanu no Mikoto. Brunhild. Damn, he'll send one of the strongest. I have no choice. I'll send her. Jer. Are you sure I can win? She said scared. Brunhild. Like Isay, she possesses very powerful magic, she said confidently. Both Valkyries head to the human's room. So I can finally kill, he said with a smile that scared both Valkyries. Time later. Valhalla Arena. Heindel. Well, spectators, after the 5th fight, it's time to open a new curtain for Ragnarok, he said with his horn. Now. I will present the fighter from the side of the gods, he said, pointing to the door on the side of the gods that is slowly beginning to open. He is the god of the sea born from the nose of his father, Izanagi. He challenged his sister and was exiled. He wanted rule of the heavens. He was exiled by the order of the 800 gods, banished to the domain of Izumo. But despite his betrayal, despite his attack on heaven, his remorse was so great that he sought his sister's forgiveness. Upon arriving in exile, he met a man who had lost 6 of his 7 daughters to the legendary snake Yamata no Urachi. He has defeated the legendary serpent Yamata no Urachi, eliminating one by one the 8 heads of the legendary serpent. The god in his amendment got one of the most beautiful swords, the legendary katana Kusanagi. If Thor was known as the Berserker of Thunder, this would be the Berserker of the Seas. Ladies and gentlemen. With you Susanu no Mikoto. 6th fighter of the gods Susanu no Mikoto, Japanese. Odds. Yes, come on Susanu, show us why you are one of the strongest. "Come on brother, you can do it," said a girl from the stands. Amaterasu, goddess of the sun, spectator of the gods, Japanese. "Wow, it's incredible to think that he was chosen. I just hope he doesn't go crazy," said a man next to the girl. Tsukiyomi, god of the moon, spectator of the gods, Japanese. "Go with all my son, make me feel proud," said a very beautiful woman. Izanami, mother of Susanu, Amaterasu, Tsukiyomi, goddess of death, spectator of the gods, Japanese. "Calm down a little, dear. To think that our most powerful son could lose to a human is absolute blasphemy," said a man next to the woman. Izanagi, husband of Izanami, father of Susanu, Amaterasu, Tsukiyomi, god of creation, spectator of the gods, Japanese. Heindel. "And now the human, or rather the human who will fight against the god. This woman is very beautiful and always accompanies Haidu Isay wherever he goes. Despite that, she is very strong," he said as the doors opened where a snowstorm appeared, flooding the entire arena. "This woman carries an unimaginable magic. She is very cruel and looks for someone strong to use all her strength with. She killed a very powerful beast by drinking its blood where she got her power," he said as a figure begins to enter the arena. "The Ice General. The Snow Queen. She is Esdith," he said as a very beautiful woman with light blue hair entered the arena. Esdith, sixth fighter of humanity, the general of ice. All the men, both gods and humans, were very blushing seeing the beauty who was in the sand. Susanu looks at her fixedly with a smile and tells her very confidently. "Susanu? Hey doll, what do you think if you give up and come with me?" he said confidently. Esdith, very upset, releases a very strong killer instinct that makes several people scared. Esdith. "I'll tell you right now, damn it, I'm not an easy woman. If you want to leave like the little man you are, do it now because I just want to fight against a supernatural being," she said very annoyed, directing her words against Susanu. "Susanu? Wow, it seems you want to die. You should have accepted my proposal. It's a shame, but now I'll kill you," he said, unsheathing his sword. Heindel. Two swordsmen will face each other. Susanu vs Esdith. That from the start with the 6th round. Fight. Ice Storm. Susanu. "Okay, doll, so you won't be my slave. Okay, then I'll kill you," he said confidently, unsheathing his sword. Esdith draws her sword while looking at Susanu seriously. Both of them launch themselves at each other, starting to clash their weapons again and again at high speed. Heindel. Incredible. The 6th round started with a flurry of cuts at high speed, he said, shocked. Susanu throws several cuts at multiple angles, but Esdith creates a wall of ice impacting all spectators. "Susanu? You have ice magic," he said, shocked. Esdith smiles as she creates several ice spears, with which he attacks Susanu, but he manages to block them with his sword. At that moment, Susanu's sword begins to be covered with wind. "Susanu? Get this." "Storm cut," said the god, and with a swing of his sword, he released a tornado of wind as sharp as blades. The tornado advances against Esdith, but she creates a huge wall of ice that defends her from the tornado. The wall would do its work as multiple pieces of ice debris began to fall like rain. Esdith would jump, placing herself on top of one of the debris, and begin to jump one by one, approaching Susanu, who was in a defensive position. At that, Esdith would jump to give a strong cut with her sword, but Susanu defends herself with hers, creating a strong collision that would raise a current of wind. "Susanu? Not bad, but I'm not fighting seriously," said the god, stepping back. Susanu starts charging wind into his sword to launch another attack. Esdith would jump again while in the air to start charging an ice attack. "Esdith. Higel Spring," he said as he created a huge iceberg to throw at Susanu. "Susanu. Dragon's Claw," he said while swinging his sword. 3 super sharp wind cuts come out that destroy the ice. But Esdith would propel herself thanks to a piece of rubble to give Susanu a cut in the chest. "Susanu? Ah damn," said the god very annoyed. Increasing his speed, charging towards Esdith, launching a slash that the woman successfully blocks. Susanu covers his sword with water and then launches another technique. "Susanu? Tsunami," he said, and with a swing of his sword, he throws a huge wave in Esdith's direction. But the woman, seeing this, just smiles while touching the sand with her hand, starting to freeze everything, including the tsunami. Esdith plays this time what the tsunami was, creating an ice attack in Susanu's direction. "Esdith. Ice Blender," said the woman, creating an elongated and spiky ball of ice with many ice spikes protruding from it. Esdith sends this spin toward Susanu. The god manages to dodge the attack, however, he receives several cuts on his chest. "Susanu? You're starting to make me really angry, woman. I was going to be merciful to you, but now I won't be merciful anymore," he said, very annoyed, while he grabbed his sword tightly and then threw it into the sky, confusing everyone. "Heindel." Susanu threw his gun into the sky, he said, confused. Susanu only increases her smile as the sky of the arena begins to darken, while multiple storm clouds completely cover it, starting a thunderstorm. Multiple rays are concentrated at a single point. After a few seconds the sky begins to open while Susanu's sword, Kusanagi, descends from the sky, only it was covered by lightning, wind, and water. Susanu grabs his sword and then heads off at high speed with his sword covered in lightning. Susanu. Lightning cut, he said as he threw a slash with his sword. Esdith covers her sword with ice and then clashes swords with Susanu, creating a strong current of wind. But both do not stop, starting to launch multiple cuts with their weapons. Esdith steps back as she creates another ice attack. Susanu throws multiple slashes with his sword which destroy the ice attacks. But Esdith launches herself at great speed, while the ice of her attacks are directed where Esdith covers her in armor. But the same Esdith creates two ice swords, starting to throw multiple cuts that Susanu counterattacked, and that was the case for a while. Until Susanu steps back, taking the stance of a samurai where his sword is covered by wind, water and lightning, beginning to take the form of multiple dragon heads. On the steps of the gods. Tsukiyomi. Will he really use that technique? He said, shocked. Amaterasu. I haven't used it since I killed Urachi. Izanagi. I see that your brother wants to win no matter what, he said seriously, watching his sons fight. Back in the arena. Susanu reveals multiple dragon heads formed by water, lightning, and wind, with a total of 8 heads. Susanu smiles as she prepares her attack. Susanu. Great dragon sword. He said while throwing the 8 dragon heads in Esdith's direction, but the aforementioned smiles while on her chest, a celestial sphere is seen which begins to expand. Esdith. Mahapadma said as the dragon heads head towards her, which when colliding with her, create a great explosion that raises a smoke screen. Everyone was waiting for the outcome of this fight, while the gods were very confident of having won. However, when the smoke clears, something shocking is seen. Susanu's head had been cut off by Esdith, who just smiles, grabbing her rival's head to put it on her belt as a reward. Esdith leaves the arena shaking Susanu's head, leaving a horrible sight, especially for the gods. Heindel. The winner of the 6th round is Esdith said while the aforementioned had already left. Susanu's family couldn't believe what they saw, and Izanami was shedding tears for the death of her son. Esdith vs Susanu no Mikoto. Winner. Esdith. Time. 13 minutes and 8 seconds. Final Technica. Mahapadma. Destroyed weapons. Kusanagi sword. Humanity. 3. Odds. 2. Draws. 1. In the Valkyrie's box. Jer. Sister, how could Mrs. Esdith do that so quickly? She said, shocked. Brunhild didn't know what to say until. Isay. That's very simple. Esdith Mahapadma's ability is one where she freezes everything, even space-time, said the orange-haired man, surprising both Valkyries. Brunhild. Incredible, she said, unable to believe she had such power. The orange-haired man was retreating until. Jer. Mr. Isay, thank you very much for fighting on our side. Isay stops and turns around, looking at both women, who are paralyzed by the brown-haired man's gaze and aura. Isay. Let it be clear, said Isay seriously. I don't fight because you command me, I fight only for humanity, said the orange-haired man and then left, leaving both women still scared. Jer. Her sister, why is it like that with us? What did we do to her? Said the little Valkyrie, scared. Brunhild. No, I don't know, Jer, but it would be better to know that later, said the Valkyrie, then calmed down and returned to her usual attitude. The time has come for Ragnarok to continue, she said seriously as she went to look for another human for another round, being followed by her younger sister. Ragnarok must continue. After Esdith's victory over the storm god Susanu no Mikoto, humanity managed to take the lead in Ragnarok. Because of this, the gods decided to stop playing games and start fighting seriously. 7. Tamamin vs Sun Wukong Raiden combat. The 7th round began and in this same round the Valkyrie Brunhild decided to send the human with the strongest muscles in history, Raiden Tamamin, this time with a surprise, and that was the double will. 2 Valkyries joined Raiden, being these the Valkyrie Prower, with which Raiden could unleash all his power, and the Valkyrie Ridgeon Leaf, with which he transformed into a knuckle duster as a weapon for Raiden. For their part, the gods sent Sun Wukong, the god of martial arts, and a headache for them. In this fight, both had their weapons ready. Raiden, his knuckle dusters, and Wukong, his staff. Thus beginning an incredible fight where each one made use of techniques from their respective martial arts, as well as Raiden released all his power. The 100 doors were broken in this way. The true strength of Raiden was released for his part. Sun Wukong made use of his cloning and his rock skin, with which he was able to put Raiden in trouble. And in a second Raiden receives one of the strongest attacks from the monkey, the staff of the Mountain of Flames, where Raiden was seriously injured however. He released all his power to launch his strongest attack and in this way break the defense of the monkey and thus win another round for humanity. Raiden Tamaman vs Sun Wukong. Winner. Raiden Tamaman. Time. 6 minutes and 6 seconds. Final technique. Teppo Yatagarasu plus direct blow. Destroyed weapons. Ryuji Bang staff. Humanity. 4. Odds. 2. Draws. 1. 8. Combat Napoleon Bonaparte vs Hades. In the 8th battle, humans sent one of their greatest conquerors to fight and the gods sent one more. The king of Tartarus wanted to fight to avenge the death of his people and thus show humanity what a true god in combat was. The fight was very even in multiple ways. The king of the underworld used his control of darkness and attacked with flames of hell. For his part, the human attacked with his weapon, which was a huge cannon with which he launched powerful fire attacks. But despite that, the god little by little put the human against the ropes to the point where the god released all his power in the last attack, winning his fight. Napoleon Bonaparte vs Hades. Winner. Hades. Time. 11 minutes and 32 seconds. Final technique. Purgatory fire. Weapons destroyed. French cannon. Humanity. 4. Odds. 3. Draws. 1. 9. Nikola Tesla vs Shiva fight. In this fight, the creator faces the destroyer in a fight where the human Tesla uses his weapon, the death ray, with which he attacks Shiva from multiple angles, but the god, due to his speed and strength, put the human in trouble to the point where Tesla had to unleash the full power of his weapon in order to corner Shiva, but he himself releases his dance, the Tandava, where the god threw punches and fire kicks, with which he almost killed the human, and Shiva, to show his respect, throws a flaming kick. Killing the human. Nikola Tesla vs Shiva. Winner. Shiva. Time. 19 minutes and 4 seconds. Final technique. Kriti Vasasu Tiger's Fire Claw. Weapons destroyed. Death Ray. Humanity. 4. Odds. 4. Draws. 1. 10. Combat Lu Buhausen vs Tezcatlipoca. After the victory of the supreme god, humans and gods have once again entered into a tie. However, the god of darkness Tezcatlipoca came to face the furious dragon, the strongest man in China, in an intense fight where the two showed facets where they were complete monsters, releasing blows that raised strong currents of air, and for the first time, and as a last chance to win, Lu Bu used his best technique, where he ended up killing the god. Lu Buhausen vs Tezcatlipoca. Editor. Lu Buhausen. Time. 5 minutes and 25 seconds. Final technique. Sky Eater. Destroyed weapons. Tezcatlipoca's mace. Humanity. 5. Odds. 4. Draws. 1. 11. Combat Chester Bennington vs Hercules. In this fight, the humans decided to send one of the most famous singers that have ever existed, the leader and vocalist of the band Linkin Park, Chester versus the god of strength Hercules, in a fight where Hercules used his 12 labors to defeat the human. However, Chester, who had his guitar as a will, played melodies that created effects around him. This is because the lyrics that Chester sang came true, to which both released all their power and arsenal to win where there was another tie, surprising everyone. Chester Bennington vs Hercules. Winner. Tie. Time. 30 minutes. Final technique. Final concert Exodus of Hercules, third labor Cyrenian hind. Weapons destroyed. Exodus of Hercules. Humanity. 5. Odds. 4. Draws. 2. 11. Leonidas vs Zeus fight. In this fight, Zeus decided to go to fight facing one of the most famous men of Greece in an incredible fight where Leonidas used his Voland, which was his will that continued evolving, presenting itself as fire, making his attack stronger. For his part, Zeus used his fists and lightning, stopping the Spartan. However, he used the technique that he stole from his father, where he and the human gave a last attack, where the human was unconscious and the god was very tired but happy with such a fight. Zeus did not kill Leonidas as a sign of respect. Leonidas vs Zeus. Winner. Zeus. Time. 19 minutes. Final technique. Fist that surpassed time. Destroyed weapons. Spartan shield. Humanity. 5. Odds. 5. Draws. 2. 13. Combat Alexander the Great vs Odin. In this last fight, everything would be decided, the warrior god versus the conqueror, in a fight where both used their maximum strategies and experience to be able to defeat the human. However, the will of the human was too great to the point where he would not give up so easily, where Odin, very upset and wanting to kill him at once, used his black magic that disintegrates everything with the intention of ending the fight. For his part, Alexander mounted his fighting chariot to launch himself against Odin. The sword and the spear collided, creating an explosion where something shocking was seen. Another tie. Alejandro Magno vs Odin. Winner. Tie. Time. 40 minutes. Final technique. Clash of arms. Weapons destroyed. Alexander's battle chariot. Humanity. 5. Odds. 5. Draws. 3. How all this will be resolved in due time. A new decision. After humans and gods have ended in a tie. The gods gathered to talk about what would happen with Ragnarok. Zeus. It was fun, but now what are we going to do? Said the old man. Shiva. I don't know, old man, and I'm not even interested. I really didn't expect this. At that moment, an aura full of hatred appears. Everyone turns around and sees a very upset Odin. Odin. Let's do something. I'll fight that damn human who killed my son, he said, very annoyed. Zeus. Wow, I just remembered that. Well, if you want to fight, do it. In fact, I want to keep seeing what that boy is capable of, he said excitedly. Shiva. I'll most likely die from an attack from you, said Shiva very confidently. Odin just gets up and walks away. A while later. Valhalla Arena. Heimdall. Well, viewers, as you may know, gods and humans ended in a draw, and after a meeting, a new fight was decided. 2 members who already fighted. Okay, now I will introduce them. On the side of humanity. This is the mysterious young man who killed Thor. Possession of a strange power. He will save humanity from anything. The ultimate human. Isay Haidu. Isay fighter on the side of the humans. All the humans, seeing that boy, felt that they could win and had their hopes pinned on him. On the steps of the gods. Versetti. Damn, that was the one who killed Thor, he said, annoyed at remembering his friend's death. Heimdall. And now on the side of the gods. At that moment a huge snowstorm appears. He is considered one of the most powerful lords in all the kingdoms. He killed Ymir to create Midgard. In the whirlwind you could see the figure of a tall man who seemed to have a spear in his hand. He is the father of the god Thor, he is the man who knows everything, he is the father of everything that is and ever will be. He will put in their place the humans who dared intervene in his extinction. He will judge them with his spear. The figure was just beginning to be revealed and the gods were already looking on with trust. The humans were stunned and the Valkyries were nervous about what was about to happen. After this Ragnarok and winning his fight he will punish the Valkyrie and god who had the audacity to resort to Ragnarok. What this guy said worried Jer too much. Jer. Her sister, do you think we can win? She said scared. Brunhild said nothing because she was so scared. The figure had already revealed itself, while one of the god's eyes shone brightly, and a great pressure began to make the backs of the human side heavier, and an aura full of death and despair was present. He is the one who knows everything, nothing ever escapes him and he knows everything, he knows he is going to win this round. The god just took a breath and blew a little to clear all the remaining frost and fog around him. He is. The representative of the 14th round on the part of the gods is. Odin. Odin representative of the gods, Nordic. Black and white crow. Prepare yourself human because you will die, they said in unison. God 1. Ha. We will win. God 2. Odin has no rival. Goddess 3. He is on the level of strength equal to Zeus. President. Lord Odin. Avenge Thor. Human 1. Odin. Human 2. Does he really have the same power as Zeus? Human 3. Will we be okay? Humans would be very worried because despite seeing Odin's power in his fight, they realized that he didn't fight seriously and that they said he was at the same level as Zeus scared them too much. Seeing this, Isay releases an aura of heat, causing the humans to calm down a little. For their part, the gods stepped back a little. They both just stared at each other intensely, and great waves of power could be seen in these two. Odin. You said with hate. Remember the words I told you, I will kill you myself, well I will do it now. Isay. Well, come with all the shitty old man, said Isay mockingly, making Odin even more upset. Heimdall. A new fight begins. Spear vs axe. Magic vs magic. The king vs the ultimate being. Fletchen said, blowing his horn. Odin. You won't get out of here alive, human. Isay. Well, I'll finish you off, old man. They both said, preparing their weapons and launching themselves at each other. Frozen ashes. The new fight began and the gods watched it intently. Zeus. Come on, I want to see death, he said with amusement. Shiva. Hey, old man, don't even think about losing, he said, looking at Odin. Odin launches himself at Isay, giving the first attack, a thrust that the brown-haired man blocks with his axe. Odin steps back and begins to launch several thrusts while Isay counterattacks her. Heimdall. The fight was incredible. It started with a barrage of attacks, he said, shocked. Odin steps back as he grips his weapon tightly and then throws it away. Isay raises his axe, slashing it, causing the weapons to throw sparks from the force exerted. Odin recovers his spear. Odin. You're good, but you still have a long way to go to be at my level, he said, raising his spear again. It is surrounded by a green aura. Odin. Receive this, he said, preparing his spear with a green aura. Perfect shot, he said to throw his spear which was going at great speed. Seeing this, Isay raises his axe and throws a blow with great force, hitting the spear, causing it to retreat. Odin grabs his spear again and then throws it again. Isay hits her again, sending her flying. But then the spear, while in the air, goes to Isay again. The orange-haired man notices and hits it again with his axe, causing the spear to fly again. Odin. Not bad, kid, he said, grabbing his spear again. Isay. I see that you depend a lot on your weapon, don't you think? Odin. You think so, he said with a crazy smile. The same green aura surrounds Odin's spear again. Isay raises his axe making a sun appear on it. Both with their charged attacks launch them with their power. Odin. Perfect shot. Isay. Super cut. They both said, launching their attacks. Odin would throw his spear, and Isay would throw a cut with his axe, colliding with the spear. Both weapons colliding would create a huge explosion raising a smoke screen. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen when the smoke cleared and Odin's spear was seen split in two. All the gods were speechless. And for their part, the humans were happy, this meant that they had a chance to win. Heimdall. The legendary spear gunner was destroyed, I screamed in complete shock. Isay. Now that you've grown old without your weapon, he said with a smile. Odin said nothing and began to charge magic in his hands. Isay. Oh wow, you still want to fight, well then, said Isay, leaving his axe aside, confusing everyone. Odin. Kid, you know that without her you won't beat me, he said seriously. But he would receive a blow from Isay making him retreat and bleed. Heimdall. Incredible, despite not using his weapon, Isay is still capable of hurting a god. He screamed in shock. Odin. You bucking brat, he said, launching himself at Isay in a bare-knuckle fight. In the Valkyrie's box. Brunhild. How is this? Even without his axe, he's capable of doing damage, she said, shocked. Jer. Sister, I still don't understand why Isay hates the supernatural so much. Maybe it's because of his past, said a female voice. Both women turn around and see a girl with red hair and green eyes wearing an elegant white dress. Rangdra's the fourth sister, Valkyria, Nordica. Jer. Sister Rangdra, said the youngest, seeing one of her older sisters. Rangdra's. I see that he has hatred, seeing mainly the gods, maybe it's because of his past, she said worriedly, seeing the boy touching his chest, feeling something. Brunhild. I have to ask you, she said seriously. Jer. But he hates us. Rangdra's. Then we will have to insist, she said seriously. Back in the arena. Odin raises his hands which hit a red aura. Odin. Punishment of Asgard, he said, launching multiple red rays in Isay's direction. Isay dodges them to create a fireball and throw it at Odin. Isay. Cruel son, said, throwing the fireball. Odin, seeing this, barely dodges the attack, but Isay creates more cruel suns, throwing them at Odin. Odin's hands now have a sky blue aura and touching the ground causes it to freeze. Odin. Killer frost, said as huge ice structures rose up to attack Isay. The fireballs collide with the structures, destroying them completely. Odin. You're good boy, but not good enough, he said, while now a black aura covered his arms. Isay feels very dangerous, so he gets serious. The aura begins to take shape, becoming that of his scythe. Odin. Scythe of absolute death, he said while holding a scythe that emanated a purple fire. Odin. I hope you're ready, boy, he said, launching himself at Isay. Isay quickly retrieves his axe and launches himself at Odin. Both weapons collide, starting a struggle. Both separate and then clash their weapons again and again simultaneously, raising strong gusts of wind. Isay steps back to launch multiple fire slashes that Odin stops with his scythe. Isay. I think the time has come for me to release more power too, he said, closing his eyes, confusing everyone. The orange-haired boy slowly opens his eyes, revealing beautiful blue eyes that made the sky itself look ridiculous. Some women, both human and goddess, had a runny nose because of this. Jer. But what did she say, confused. Brunhild. What power? Jer. What do you think, Sister Rangdras? He said, looking at his sister, but she was blushing and had a trickle of blood coming out of her nose. Making the two sisters have an anime-style sweat drop. In the sand. Heimdall. But Isay is emanating a lot of power, he said, shocked. Isay creates two spheres, one red and the other blue. Isay. When I combine my red and blue cursed energy, it forms the purple cursed energy. With the purple energy already created, Isay begins to point a purple sphere in the direction of Odin. Odin, seeing this, also charges power into his scythe to create a purple fireball. Isay. Receive this. Purple energy emptiness. He said as he threw the sphere in Odin's direction. Odin. Instant death, he said, throwing the fireball. Both purple spheres collide, however Isay's sphere gains ground, surpassing Odin's. Isay's sphere falls directly against Odin, creating a huge explosion that would shake the entire arena. Nobody said anything, everyone was in complete shock. Zeus. What the hell did he say? Shocked. Shiva. He really is human, he said, unable to believe it. Heimdall. Odin Sama received the attack from Isay. Will it be possible for the king of Asgard to still be standing? He said, looking in the direction of the explosion. From the smoke generated by it, a figure can be seen coming out. It was Odin, but he was very injured. Odin. Wow, boy, good attack, he said, spitting blood. Odin. But now I realize something, you didn't use all your power when you fought Thor, right? Isay. What if? Odin. I should have known. You didn't use that power when you were fighting Thor. Isay. Then tell me, will you give up? Odin just smiles as he walks to where his destroyed spear was. Odin. You know, I think you should have killed me when you had the chance, he said, grabbing his 2 pieces of spear. Odin would take out of his pocket a ring with a red gem, a ruby. Odin would put the ring on one of the pieces of his spear and then join his spear as if it were not broken. At that moment a crimson glow floods the arena, blinding almost everyone. When the glow dissolves, Odin is seen with a new spear. This was golden in color with a crimson gem on the edge and the entire spear had a purple aura. Everyone was in shock feeling such power. The gods were speechless and Shiva and Zeus watched this in complete shock. Odin unleashed all his power. It was definitely something to see. Isay also releases all his power by seeing Odin seriously. Odin raises his spear and then throws it with great force. Isay seeing this quickly dodges it and it falls into a part of the arena, creating an immense crater. Isay. Wow, you can see that his power has increased, he said seriously. Odin. This is your end, boy, he said, raising his spear which begins to create purple spheres with a lot of power. Odin. Take this, boy. Asgard's punishment said throwing multiple purple spheres. Isay. Local province. He said, creating a cruel sun and then throwing it, it divides into thousands of miniature suns in the direction of the purple spheres. The spheres of both sides collide, creating huge explosions that shake the entire arena. Heimdall. But how incredible Odin, one of the 3 supreme gods, released all his power and even if Isay can keep up with him, he said speechlessly. Odd 1. Tell me this is a joke. Odd 2. I would like to believe that it is but this is real, he said shocked. Odd 3. Come on Odin Sama, defeat him. Odds. Odin shouted in unison. Human 1. Come on Isay. Human 2. Defeat him. Human 3. You can. Humans. Isay screamed in unison. Odin. Cursed. Damn human, I will kill you definitely, he said as he prepares to throw his spear one last time. Odin throws his spear with all his might and goes in Isay's direction. Isay. Domain expansion immeasurable void, said the orange-haired man. In that, the entire arena along with the spectators are taken to another place where a huge eye is seen that transmits information. Heimdall. But that Isay teletransport the sand to elsewhere, shout impacted. Odin. No, it's not possible, who are you? He said, seeing Isay in a giant eye. Isay. I say it again, I am a human, but I am the ultimate one, he said above the eye, while a lot of information went to Odin's brain. Odds. Impossible. Humans. Incredible. Both sides said. Brunhild. Incredible. Jer. It can't be. Rangdriz. He is very powerful. Said the 3 Valkyries in complete shock. Isay appears behind Odin. Odin. What are you doing? He said for the first time with fear. Isay grabs Odin's head tightly. Isay. I'll tell you something. Both in heaven and on earth I am a unique being, remember my words, God, he said mockingly, and then tore off his head. The sand returned to normal, and everyone was in a state of shock that nothing in the world could take away. Heimdall. The winner of the 14th round is the human. Isay Haidu shouted at what humans become very happy. Humans. YSSSS. Odds. Impossible. Zeus. Wow, that was incredible, he said with a smile. Later I'll challenge him to a fight. Shiva. That was it. Incredible. I'm going to fight him later, he said with a smile. Isay Haidu vs Odin. Anator equals, Isay Haidu. Time. 17 minutes and 16 seconds. Final technique. Immeasurable empty domain expansion. Weapons destroyed. Gunner Lance. Humanity. 6. Odds. 5. Draws. 3. Jer. Sister, that was incredible, said the youngest excitedly. Brunhild. Yes, it was. Rangdriz. Let's ask Isay who he really is. Brunhild. Yes, she said seriously. Zeus. Yufufu Brunhold, that was incredible. In fact, if there were to be a fight, I would face Isay, he said with a smile as he walked away. Leaving the Valkyries shocked. Knowing who you really are. After Isay defeated Odin, humanity was saved. That's because it was the last battle of Ragnarok. After 13 battles and a tie, it had to be resolved with a final match, and that was Isay versus Odin. However, the Valkyries wanted an answer. Who really was Haidu Isay? The surviving Valkyries were Jer, the youngest of the 13 Valkyries and the will of Simohehe. Brangdris the 4th Valkyrie's sister and the will of Simon Bolivar. Prar the 3rd Valkyrie's sister and the first will of Raiden Tamamin. Regenleif the 7th Valkyrie's sister and the second will of Raiden Tamamin. Briss the 2nd Valkyrie's sister and the will of Lupuhausen. Herver the 10th sister and the will of Chester Bennington. Locke sister 11 and the will of Alexander the Great. And Brunhild the eldest of all and will of King Leonidas. The 8 sisters gathered in a room to find out the answer to who Haidu Isay really is. Brunhild. Well, sisters, now we will know who he really is and why he has so much power. Jer. Sister Brunhild, and how will we know? Christ. With this he said, taking out a golden sphere. Brunhild. With her we will see her memories and her life. Regenleif. But wouldn't that be violating one's privacy? Brunhild. I know and I don't regret it. Locke. And where did they get it from? Prar. He gave it to us after insisting so much. Brunhild. Okay, now let's see her. The 8 sisters touched the sphere, entering Isay's memories. The sisters saw Isay being born and growing up in small fragments accompanied by their parents as a normal boy. Jer. Haha, there's nothing wrong here. Brist. I agree. Then they saw Isay at Kuo Academy being invited on a date by a black-haired girl from another academy. Everything seemed normal until they were both in a fountain at night. Rainer. Isay, I'm asking you for something. Isay. Of course, he said with a smile. The girl approaches him and says. Rainer. You would die for me, she said with a psychopathic smile where black wings appeared on her back. The Valkyries who saw this were shocked by what he did. She presents herself as a fallen angel and was sent to kill him. She would create a spear of light piercing his stomach, causing him to bleed. The fall leaves the area, leaving Isay on the floor giving his last breaths of life, but in that a magic circle appears in red where a red-haired girl comes out and tells him. Rias. Now you're mine, he said with a smile, finishing that memory. Jer. But what? Shake. Incredible. Prar. In that world, the supernatural also exists, she said, shocked. In another fragment. Isay is seen waking up from her attack as if it were a nightmare. He went to the academy where he continued studying until a blonde boy tells him to go to the occult club. Where upon arriving he sees the same girl with crimson red hair introducing herself and her club as demons. The Valkyries were again amazed by this. In that, Rias tells Isay about the war of the fallen demons and angels and the sacred gears, divine objects created by the biblical god that only humans can have access to, and that he has one. Brunhild. Incredible, that's why it's her power. Boyle. It would be best to keep watching. At that, Rias tells him that he is now a demon and that he revived him as his pawn and that he has to do demon work. Isay accepts without further ado and does the work, trying to find out what power he has. In another attack by a fallen Isay, he finally wakes her up. It was the boosted gear, the Red Dragon Gauntlet, a glove that has the soul of the Red Emperor Dragon, Drag, allowing him to increase his power every 10 seconds. Regenleif. Incredible. Her sisters were the same. In another fragment. Isay is seen doing chores when he meets a blonde girl, a nun named Asia Argento, who becomes his friend. However, he discovers that she had a sacred gear and that she would be a victim of the same fall that killed him. After the nun Asia was caught by the fallen, they would take away her power, and with that, Asia would die. However, Isay arrived with some members of the occult club to fight with the fallen and save Asia. But Asia would die. At that moment, Isay's strength would awaken for the first time, defeating the fallen and, in the process, Rainer as well. Rias would finally kill her. After that moment Isay had something in mind. Becoming strong to protect his loved ones. Brunhild. Wow, he's a very brave person, she said with a smile. Christ. Don't even mention it, sister, she said with a smile. So Isay would train with his power to be stronger and they would do demon missions. Until that day. Isay arrived at the club where he saw a blonde man. He was a high-class demon called Razor Phoenix, a very strong demon. He was engaged to Rias in an arranged marriage and to break it up they had to beat his team. But for this, the club would be given training time of about 10 days. In those days Isay became strong but not that much. And on the day of the fight they would give their all, but unfortunately they would lose. Isay was the last to fall. Days later. Rias was about to marry Razor, but in that. The doors open revealing Isay determined to defeat him and break his engagement. This time having sacrificed his left arm, it is now a dragon arm. Lock. That boy clearly wants to protect, he said with a smile. Boyle. Don't even say it. The demons would approve of the idea of a fight. If Isay wins, the marriage breaks up, but if he loses, the wedding continues. Yes, it was a fight where Isay had the advantage, but his power gradually fell, leaving him very tired. But he had his tricks and thanks to his strategy he would manage to win. Where he would stay as Ria's new fiancé, something that made him very happy since. Had fallen in love with her. Jer. Haha, it's incredible. The others just nodded. Another memory. Isay and the club are seen talking to some envoys from the church, saying that a high-ranking fallen named Kakabiel stole the sacred swords Excalibur. That name made the blonde boy named Kiba quite upset and he wanted to destroy those swords because of his past. Quick memories. The club would manage to reach the fallen Kakabiel, and after a hard fight only Isay remained standing, but his determination made him continue forward managing to bring Kakabiel to his knees. But then a boy in white armor would kill the fallen. He was the bearer of the White Emperor Dragon, the rival of the Red Dragon, and he realized the great difference in power and knew that being someone strong would not be easy. Quick memories. There were quick images of various moments in his life. When he met the leader of the fallen. When he faced his rival for the first time. When he met the Nordics of his world. It must be said that the Valkyries were upset because the Odin of that world was a perverted dirty old man and they were grateful to no longer have one like that. When I fight with the Loki of that world. When he unleashed his hidden power by fighting some evil demons. When he saved the leader of the Yasaka Yakai from the Chaos Brigade, a very dangerous terrorist group. When he fought another high-class demon named Sir Bale. When he fought alongside the factions against the evil dragons and when he saved the Dragon of Infinity from an arrow with Azamel's blood. And after that his body was rebuilt by the blood and flesh of the dragon gods. The Dragon of Dreams and the Dragon of Infinity. Turning into a dragon god. Killing the leader of the Chaos Brigade, the son of the original Lucifer, Rizavan Livan, Lucifer. And when he fought against Trihexa, the beast of the apocalypse, a beast that had power equal to that of some gods like Thor and Susanu. Thereafter. He was known as the pillar of the supernatural factions, being a hero in all of them. Brunhild. Incredible. Brist. He's a hero. Prower. I am moved by your actions. Jer. It's amazing. After a while everything seemed to end well until that day. One day a high-class demon named Yamato arrived in the supernatural world where he began spending time with everyone who was once Isay's friend. That was the beginning of the nightmare. Days later Isay was returning from his classes until a group of demons surrounded him and knocked him out. Lock. But why do they do that? He saved them on many occasions. Jer. I have a bad feeling. Another memory. Isay wakes up and sees that he is in a trial. Searches. Hello Isay, you see, I think your use is over, he said with a dark smile. Azazel. Yes, Brat Yamato is the best option to be the new pillar of the factions. Isay. But they've only known him for a week. Azazel. We know it and he proved to be better than you. Searches. Guards bring them. Some demons enter with the chestnut tree's parents. Isay. Mama Papa desperate cry. The guards begin to beat both adults mercilessly. Isay. Dreg, help me, give me power. Dreg. You know Isay I think that boy is a better carrier than you. I said. That. Dreg. You are a hero and my title is that of a being feared by the gods, so I'm going with that boy. The crimson sphere emerges from Isay's chest, going to Yamato, who was now the bearer of the red dragon. Isay. He didn't say desperately. Azazel. Guards, take them away. The guards take him to the dungeons where the nightmare begins. Brunhild. Damn them, why did they do that? She said angrily. Brist. Wretches, he gave everything for them, if they pay him, she said angrily. Another memory. Time had passed and Isay was still in the Gremory dungeon, he had been in that horrendous place for more than 2 years, and during this time everyone who ever loved him began to torture him in the worst ways. The boy was cut by the swords of Kiba, Zenobia and Arena, used as a punching bag by Kaneko, Asia hit him with a sword that the Gremory Knight gave her, Rias attacked him with her power of destruction, while Luceno electrocuted him, however that was only the beginning. A few months after the Gremory entourage began to torture him, they quickly got bored and left him at the mercy of the other prisoners in the dungeon. For the rest of his stay in that place it was simply horrible, the other prisoners beat him to the point of breaking his bones, they cut him, one of those many horrible days they tied him to a chair and pulled out his toenails and fingernails, however everything got worse when Yamato appeared one of those days and joined in the torture of the poor chestnut tree, helping the prisoners to torture him. Jer was crying from what he saw while hugging his sisters. The older ones shed tears because of this and the younger ones burst into tears. Some time later. Isay was tied to chains with many wounds and broken bones, his eyes had no shine, he was dead in life. He stared into space, then Yamato arrived with the brown-haired boy's parents to his cell, who were equally injured. Some humans who had nothing to do with it were being tortured. Yamato just smiles while he tortures them and then kills them for good, making Isay's hopes go away forever. Lock. Damn, he said crying. Prower. Bastard said with tears in his eyes. Yamato leaves the room, leaving the brown-haired boy with the bodies of his parents. Isay just waits for the moment when he finally dies, but in that. Some lights come into the room forming two images of two men. One was orange-haired with a perfectly worked mustache, with great muscles, a size of 3 meters, and on his shoulders, he had a large golden axe. The other was an attractive man with white hair and beautiful blue eyes. Isay. Who are you? He said weakly. My name is Escanor, the human who is at the top of the races, said the orange-haired man. I am Satoru Gojo, the sorcerer and the strongest human in my world, said the white-haired man. Isay. And what are you doing here? Escanor. You see, we die in our world. Satoru. And what you see are our souls. Isay si sorprenden. Escanor. We want you to be our reincarnation. Satoru. And you will have access to our powers. You will be the ultimate human, they both said in unison. Isay. I don't know if I should accept. Satoru. Isay, you suffered a lot because of these bastards. The time has come when. Escanor. Humans rise up and show what they are. I'm going to think a little bit. But. Isay. I accept, he said decisively. Both men heal the chestnut's wounds and take him away from that dungeon. Jer. That was the axe that he used. They all nod in affirmation. Brunhild. It's from them that their power comes, she said, shocked. Another memory. You can see an already changed Isay, he had orange hair like Escanor and blue eyes like Satoru, apart from the fact that his power increased radically. But then. Isay. I'm going to miss you, masters, he said sadly, seeing both men. They both smile as they turn to dust to finally rest in peace. Isay looks at his hands seeing his aura of power. Isay. Damn, do you think I forgot what you did to me? He said angrily. But then a crack opens in the sky, revealing a huge red dragon accompanied by a purple dragoness. Isay. Great Red, Ouroboros said seeing the two dragon gods, the one of dreams and infinity. Knowing who you really are, too. The Valkyries of the world of Shuematsu had the idea of seeing Haidu Isay's memories to know who he really was, seeing both his childhood and adolescence, also seeing how he became a demon, and how he was betrayed by those he thought were his friends, as well as how he became the reincarnation of two very powerful humans known as Subaru and Escanor. Currently in a memory, Isay is seen in front of the Infinity Dragon and the Dream Dragon, wanting to talk to the brown-haired boy. Isay. Great Red, office that need. Office. Isay, we have to tell you that we sent Escanor and Subaru to help you. Red. Yes, apart from that, we found out what they did to you and we have good news to give you, said the Red Dragon. Isay. Which one did he say, confused? Red. You better see it for yourself, he said, creating an illusion of what happened. And the illusion. The traitors Yamato are seen at a party celebrating the fall of the Chaos Brigade and Yamato's rise to the new Red Dragon. Everything seemed to be going well until. The crack opens where the dragon gods, the dragon kings, come out, accompanied by Vali and Sekiryuutei, very annoyed. Sekiryuutei throws a punch with all his might at Surzich's, sending him against the wall of the room. Vali launches an electric attack at Azazel and then grabs one of his wings and then tears them off. Great Red and Office unleash their full power, making everyone kneel. Great Red opens his mouth and devours Yamato, leaving only his right arm out. After chewing Yamato, he makes his right arm full where the boosted gear was. Red. Damn you, shouted the dragon very annoyed. Because they betrayed Isay and traded him for a stupid pretty face. They didn't know he worked for the Chaos Brigade. Said the dragon showing a silhouette that Yamato was a last survivor of the Chaos Brigade, surprising everyone. Office. Drag, for what you've done, your title of Celestial Dragon will be withdrawn. Drag. No please I really regret what I did. Office. Too late, bastard, she said angrily. Tannen. And he's not the only one, you too, Vritra said, looking at Saji. Vritra. No, please fight hard to have it, he said desperately. Office. Well, you should have thought about it before helping your bear. Albion. I hope you rot in hell, Drag, said the white celestial dragon to the red dragon. Ali. Seriously, Azazel, you saw Isay as your son and you did this to him. He said angrily. Sekiryuutei. I hope you rot and laugh, he said, annoyed, seeing the redeed. Big Red opens a portal where everyone who didn't betray Brown enters, leaving the traitors devastated by what they did. Prower. Take that, you buckers, she said angrily. Wrist. I hope they're odd, she said angrily. End of the illusion. Isay. In the end they got what they deserved, he said seriously. Bread. Isay, I would like to give you this, said the dragon, giving it to him like a remote control. Isay. And what is this, said while looking at the remote control. Bread. It is a dimensional control with which you can travel between dimensions. I chose you to go to other dimensions and help with some problems. Isay. Wow, and why me? Bread. It's not obvious you are someone worthy of being called a hero, said the dragon looking at the orange-haired man. Isay. Hehe, thanks, I accept. Office. We wish you luck, hero, said the dragon, a little sad for not seeing him again. Isay. Don't worry, I'll come visit you. Bread. We will be waiting for you, said the dragon, and then left with the dragoness. Jer. Incredible, he can travel between worlds. Regenleaf. So he was in our world, he said, adjusting his glasses. Isay activates the control, reaching another dimension. In that dimension, the brown-haired boy begins to look for something to do until he hears crying and sees a green-haired boy crying. Isay. Boy, why are you crying? Child. I can't be a hero, said the child with tears. Isay. Hero, said confused. Boy. I don't have a quirk, I can't be a hero. Isay. Quirk, said in his mind confused. Isay. Could you tell me about things here? The boy, a little surprised, begins to explain that in this world 80% of humans have powers called quirks and 20% do not have them, and here heroes exist. The boy also said his name being Izuku Midoriya. The boy wants to be a hero, but by not having a quirk his dreams fell, and not only that, but the professional heroes gave him a cruel but hard truth. Someone without a quirk cannot be a hero, you will only get hurt. Isay. And tell me why you want to be a hero. Izuku. I want to be one to protect everyone, said the boy with a smile as a light surrounded him, it was a light of truth and hope. Isay was so moved that he had a decision in mind to make him one of his disciples. Isay. And if I tell you that you can have one, he said, confusing the green-haired man. Isay. You see, I'm looking for a successor to my power and you're the one. Izuku. So I can be a hero, he said with a smile. Isay. What if? Izuku hugs Isay and he hugs back. Isay gives him a little of the power of infinity and begins to train him to become stronger for several years. Brunhild. I see that he is still a good person, she said with a smile, seeing what the brown-haired man was doing. Rangdris. Don't even mention it, he said with a smile. Time passed and Izuku gradually improved until. Isay. Izuku, I have to go, said the sad one. Izuku. Why did he say sad? Isay. There are other worlds that I must see and help, but don't be sad, I will always be with you. Izuku abraza Isay. Izuku. Thanks, Dad, said the green-haired boy with tears in his eyes. Isay. Stop crying now. Both separate and Isay leaves, leaving Izuku sad but at the same time happy to be able to fulfill what his teacher said. In another world. Isay is seen arriving in a medieval-style world watching a white-haired boy doing a lot of sit-ups without rest. Isay. Hey, calm down, friend, he said, looking at the boy. The boy stops. Boy. Hello, said the happy one. Isay. Can you tell me where I am? Said the calm one. Boy. Of course you're in the Clover Kingdom, he said with a smile. Isay. From what I see I'm in a medieval world, he said in his mind. Isay. Could you tell me why you train so hard? Boy. It's simple, I want to become a magic king, he said, determined. Isay. Wizard King said confused. Boy. It seems that you don't know, but I will even become a magic king and teach everyone that even a commoner can do great things, he said determinedly. Isay. That's great, but you shouldn't push yourself like that. Asta. I know, but since I don't have magic, I have to make double the effort. Isay. Wait, you don't have magic. Asta. No, I don't have any, but that won't stop me. I will strive harder every day until I am a wise king and make discrimination disappear, he said, shouting determinedly. Isay looked at him surprised and saw his determination. Besides, he could see something that looked a little like Izuku. For what Isay would take another decision. Isay. Asta knows how you can have magic. Asta. Seriously, he said, unable to believe it. Isay raises his hand creating a miniature sun. Isay. Take this, it's my sunshine magic. You will have the power of the sun. Impacted, he approaches and takes the sun, entering the white-haired man's body, feeling a great power. At that moment, a book with the aura of the same sun appears in front of the white-haired man. Asta. Incredible, finally I have magic, he said, unable to believe it. Isay. Now let's train so you can master it. Asta. YSSSS. That's how Isay taught him to control sunshine, and Istah's routine became stronger and stronger. Until that day. He even took the test to enter a knighthood where he impressed everyone and would join the Black Bulls, surprising everyone even more by the fact that it was the worst cavalry of all, but even so, he didn't care and wanted to continue getting stronger. Isay. You make me proud, maybe you leave and teach that order values. Istah. And all thanks to you, teacher said happily. Isay. I have to go, but remember that I will always be with you. This? Yes. Isay. And promise me you will change this world. Istah. Yes, I will do it for you, master, he said determinedly. Isay just smiles as he turns to dust, leaving Istah alone with tears after losing his father figure, but happy and determined to fulfill his wish. In the last world, Isay arrived at the world of Shumatsu no Valkyrie, and that's where the memories end. Brunhild. Incredible, that boy went through everything but still kept going, said the eldest happily. Christ. I like that I never fell in the dark, he said happily. Prower. Despite everything bad, he kept going. Rangdris. And that's admirable, he said with a smile. Regenleaf. Yes it is, he said happily. Boyle. I just hope that one day he will be happy. Locke. I say the same. Jer. And where is Isay now? The miner said with doubt. At that, Rangdris gets up and starts looking for him. But Isay, he returned from the human world, educating humans, making them leave aside the bad things and begin to act for good and little by little begin to rebuild the planet. In that. Isay said a female voice. The boy turns around and sees a girl who makes him angry. Isay. What do you want? He said angrily. Rangdris. Isay, look, I know why you hate the supernatural, but I have something to tell you, she said a little shyly. Isay. And what is it? He said seriously. Rangdris. Isay, I like you, she said blushing. I want you to be my partner, she said determinedly. Isay. If you saw my memories, you'll know that I don't trust in love, he said seriously. Rangdris. I know and I want to show you that not all of us are like that. Isay. Rangdris, look, I saw how you and your sisters fought in Ragnarok, sacrificing your lives for the humans, and that shows me that you are different, but I don't know if I should trust a supernatural being again, he said seriously but sadly. Rangdris. Isay, give me a chance, I'll show you that I'm not like them, she said determinedly. Isay. Okay, I'll trust you, but if you betray me. I will kill you myself, he said seriously, scaring the Valkyrie. Rangdris. Yes, it's okay, he said nervously. So both human and Valkyrie promised the opportunity to meet each other and start a relationship. Somewhere else. Zeus. Everything is ready, said the Greek god. Hermes. Yes, he is, father, said the messenger. Zeus. Okay, this will be fun. Hades. I can't believe you're really going to do this, he said, looking at his brother. Zeus. Brother, you know that I am someone who has been bored for a long time, maybe this is the best thing that happens to me, he said with a smile. Hades. Just remember that boy defeated Odin. Don't be too confident, otherwise you'll die. Zeus. Jijoho, I know, and don't worry. That will not happen, he said madly. Zeus. The tournament of the Titanomichi will return, he said madly and very exasperated. The beginning of the Titanomichi. Isay was with the Valkyries helping them with their tasks until. Hermes. Hello Valkyries and Isay, said the messenger of the gods with a smile. Brunhild. What are you doing here? Hermes said seriously. Hermes. You see, Zeus-sama has an invitation for Isay-sama. The start of a tournament known as the Titanomichi. Brunhild. What she said, shocked. Hermes. Did you really think Zeus-sama wouldn't be interested in fighting Isay after winning Ragnarok? Brunhild. What are the rules? She said seriously. Hermes. Very simple, a qualifying tournament. Where the winner will reach the final. If Isay wins, the gods will not judge humanity again. But if Zeus wins, they will be judged again, he said with a smile of absolute victory. Brunhild didn't know what to answer after all, it was Isay's decision in the end, but in that. Isay. I accept, he said seriously. Hermes. Oh, wow, that's very good, well, I'm leaving, he said, leaving. Jer. Isay, do you think you can? She said worriedly. Isay. Don't worry, I'll win and finish this once and for all. Rangdris. Be very careful, she said worriedly. Brunhild. We trusted you can win, she said, worried about the outcome of what was going to happen. Isay said, a voice turning to see Esdith. Esdith. Be very careful, seriously, remember that tournament was very dangerous. Isay. I know and it's something I'm willing to accept. Esdith was worried. Please come back, he said in his mind. Rangdris, who saw this, approaches her and asks to talk to her alone for a while. But the girls. Rangdris. Well, tell me what your relationship with him is, he said, looking at the blue-haired girl. Esdith. Well, in my world I was a member of a tribe of hunters who were killed and some time later I met him, someone strong, determined, and loyal. He gave me his hand training me and little by little I became fond of him, she said blushing. Rangdris. I see, but you didn't appear in his memories, she said confused. Esdith. Maybe it's because he didn't want them to know who I was, he said, looking at the Valkyrie. Rangdris. It seems like you love him, he said with a smile, making Esdith blush. Esdith. Yes, I love him, she said blushing. Rangdris. And what do you think if we shared? He said with a smile. Esdith. This is fine, let's do it. Rangdris. Well, let's support him in his fight. Esdith. Yes, she said determined. Both women leave, going to the tournament venue. In a part of the universe. On a desert planet, you see a small stadium with the gods of other pantheons invited. In the center you see Hermes with a microphone. Hermes. Ladies and gentlemen, gods and goddesses. Welcome to the Titanomachia tournament. The rules are simple, it is a knockout tournament. The winner advances to the next round and this time we have two important gods participating. The father god of the cosmos and supreme being of Greek mythology Zeus. And the other god is the maximum god of India, the god of destruction Shiva. In this tournament they too will participate for the same objective. To have the best fight of their entire life. And now that the tournament starts. He said, showing a table of participants. List. Zeus. Shiva. Ares. Balder. Hercules. Raiden's Tamaman. Lubuhausen. Isay Haidu. Everyone is surprised to see several humans, especially Isay, the boy who killed Thor and Odin. Hermes. Very well, that's how the fights are, he said, showing a tournament-like graphic with the participants and their fights. Very well, killing is not allowed so. The tournament begins, he said, to which the public became excited. Combat. 1. Zeus vs Raiden Tamaman. Winner. Zeus. Final technique. Meteoric fists. 2. Isay Haidu vs Ares. Janitor. Isay Haidu. Final technique. Soul Cruel. 3. Lubuhausen vs Balder. Janitor. Lubuhausen. Final technique. Sky Eater. 4. Shiva vs Hercules. Winner. Shiva. Final technique. Devaloka, Final Dance Act. Hermes. What an incredible start, it seems that this tournament started well. Now those who moved on to the next round are Lubuhausen, Shiva, Zeus, Isay Haidu. These four fighters made it to this round, now let's start the first match of the semifinals. On the east side we have this god. Zeus. Hello everyone, said the god entering with his staff. Alright, here we go, he said, clicking as multiple angels played music with violins and harps. A very beautiful melody. He is the father of the cosmos, not he is the DPDC, godfather of the cosmos. Everyone watched this in surprise as the god spelled the same thing. Gods. DPDC, 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 they shouted in unison. Using the powers of creation at his own whim, returning to the void what doesn't fit his elegant back. The true king of the gods. Eons ago he brought Titanomachy to choose the most powerful gods. And now the same one is back, he said as Zeus began to grow in height and muscles. Infamous for committing the crime of patricide, the old man enters the battle. A true god among gods. His name is Gods. Zeus, Zeus, Zeus shouted in unison. Hermes. And now fighting against the powerful Zeus, we have the boy who defeated three of the most powerful gods. Everyone knows him. Everyone hates him. Known as the ultimate human. He defeated Zeus's son, Ares, to get here. The killer of Thor and Odin. He is Isay Haidu. The orange-haired man enters the arena, receiving boos from the gods. Isay. Let's finish this, don't you think, old man? Zeus. Yufu, I hope you survive for what's to come, he said with a smile. Hermes. The first round of the semi-final starts with Isay vs Zeus. Fight. Zeus. Well, what do you think if I start? He said, taking a few small jumps and then launching himself at Isay, giving a blow that Isay dodges. Zeus. Not bad, but start the good stuff, he said madly. Take this, he said, throwing punches at incredible speeds. 0.0001 seconds. 0.000001 seconds. 0.000001 seconds. It was the speed at which the blows were going. Zeus. Wait, there's more, he said, starting to accumulate power in his legs, starting to spin around Isay, creating afterimages of him. Zeus. What's this? He said, appearing behind Isay, kicking him so that he flies, but Isay gets back up. Zeus. Wow, despite my blows you're still standing, he said with a smile. Isay. "It's my turn," he said, launching himself at him at great speed, hitting him with a blow that makes him retreat, but he doesn't stay there, since Zeus receives non-stop blows from Isay. At that Zeus stops a blow from Isay with his hand. "Zeus. Nothing bad touches me," he said with his fist full of energy. "Zeus." Isay sees this shocked and activates his infinity ability, making Zeus's punches stop in mid-air from hitting the boy's face, and they retreat as if something was pushing them. "Zeus." But what did he say, shocked? Isay throws several blows that hit Zeus directly, causing him to slowly retreat. Zeus steps back, preparing another technique by raising his leg. "Zeus." He said, throwing a kick at great speed, but Isay would jump, giving a kick that makes Zeus step back. "Zeus. Wow, you're good, but I haven't given it my all," he said, starting to accumulate power in his arm. Isay already knew that Zeus was using the same technique with which he defeated Leonidas. "Zeus. I'll tell you something, in this very place I killed my father and stole this technique from him, it allows me total control of time, it's called the fist that surpasses time," he said, moving at great speed with everyone's time stopped, and he approaches Isay with his fist ready. "Zeus. Receive this," he said, throwing his punch. But then Zeus's blow stopped centimeters from touching Isay. "Zeus." But what did he say, shocked? But he would receive a blow that would bend his head from Isay. Zeus falls with his neck broken. Isay. "Thank goodness I had infinity activated," said the boy, moving away from Zeus's body that was on the floor. Isay. "You should have given up, old man," said Isay, moving away from Zeus. But he gets up again. Zeus grabs his neck tightly to put it back in place. "Zeus. That was incredible. You survived my attack, but I still haven't given my all, you know." Isay. "Well, come with everything, old man," he said mockingly. Zeus raises his hand, causing a huge lightning bolt to fall into his hands. "Zeus. You might survive my meteoric fists and my time-transforming fist, but I doubt you'll survive my most powerful attack." Zeus's most powerful technique consists of condensing his muscles to the limit while he has his weapon surrounding his entire fist. This attack, when colliding with the fist of his father Cronus, had so much power that it created a shock wave that destroyed everything in its path. It is called the true right of God. Zeus raises his hand, which has his lightning bolt, and squeezes it tightly, beginning his attack. Zeus launches himself at an incredible speed with the intention of connecting that blow with Isay's face, but a few centimeters after impact, Isay disappears, causing Zeus to hit the air. "Zeus." But what he said, shocked, was then hit by the brown-haired man who appeared behind Zeus. The chestnut tree begins to hit Zeus hard, causing the god to slowly begin to lose his vision. Isay then charges a blow with all his strength, hitting Zeus in the face, causing the god to fall, landing hard on the sand, leaving him unconscious. Hermes. Incredible. The winner of the first fight of the semifinal is the human Haidu Isay. The gods watching the fight were shocked to see Zeus lose. That boy was certainly very powerful. Isay Haidu vs Zeus. Janitor. Isay Haidu. Final technique. Direct hit. The final and champion of the universe. After the first semi-final match, the gods saw how Zeus, the second supreme god, had fallen. Shiva. "Wow, man, so you've fallen too. From what I see, I'm going to fight that boy," he said excitedly. Fights. Isay vs Zeus. Winner equals Isay. Lupu vs Shiva. Winner equals Shiva. Final technique. Kriti Visasu, Fire Tiger Claw. Time later. Hermes. "Well, spectators, as we could see, we already have the fighters from the last round. In the red corner lies the godslayer Isay Haidu. And in the blue corner is the god of destruction and the strongest Shiva. That from the start with the last fight of the Titannomichi." Blechin shouted excitedly. Shiva. "Okay kid, let's make this fun," he said, stretching. Shiva. Isay. "And where is your weapon?" Shiva. "Just like that old man, I don't need such a thing. I fight with my fists." Isay. "Fine, then I'll fight with mine then," he said while leaving Rita on the ground. Shiva. "You know, before we start, I'll ask you a question. Where did you get that weapon?" he said, pointing at the axe. Isay. "It was a gift from my master," he said as if it were nothing. Shiva. "Whoever would have thought that a human had a divine weapon, well I'll start," he said and then launched himself at Isay, starting to throw a barrage of punches. Shiva. Take, he said like crazy, hitting with his forearms. But Isay had his infinity activated, making the blows not fall on him, and in that Isay throws several blows which make Shiva retreat. Shiva. Shiva. "What do you think of this?" he said, accumulating power in his arms, creating a purple sphere. Shiva. "Receive this, my destruction," said Shiva, throwing the sphere. Isay. "Cruel sun," said, creating a miniature sun and then throwing it, colliding with Shiva's sphere. Both spheres, upon colliding, would create a smokescreen, but Shiva has his aura of destruction all over his body, presented as a crimson-red aura with black touches. Shiva. This is my destruction, he said while looking at Isay with a smile. Isay seeing this creates another cruel sun, this time putting it in his hand, causing it to light up. Shiva charges his fist with his aura, launching himself at Isay. Both throw their punches creating a wave of wind that makes both of them retreat. Shiva. Not bad. Isay. I say the same. In the stands. Parvati. Come on, darling, you can do it, said Shiva's first wife. Ali. Try hard and I will win, said the second wife. Durga. Defeat him with one blow, said his third wife. Ganesha. You can do it, father, said his son excitedly. Brunhild. Come on, Isay. You defeated Odin and Zeus. He will fall too. Jer. You can win, she said excitedly. Rangers Esdith. Come on, win, they both said in unison. In combat. Shiva launches himself against Isay again, and having his aura of destruction in his hands, he begins to throw blows against Isay. Shiva. Shiva. You know, apart from being the god of destruction and the strongest god in India, I'm also known as the god of dance, he said, taking a few steps. Isay. I was known by another name. Shiva. Which he said with curiosity. Isay. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I was known as the king of the harem, said, leaving everyone silent. Shiva. Ha 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 ha, he said, starting to laugh like crazy while grabbing his stomach. Shiva. How stupid, the king of the harem, ha 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 ha. Jer. Seriously, they called him that, he said with a straight face. Brunhild. It's incredible that they called her that. Isay. That was before, now I am the ultimate human. Shiva. Well, I also have another nickname, and that is. The flame dancer said as he raised his hands, making the Hindu gods already know that it was going to be. Shiva. Watch my dance, the universe is on fire. He said, starting to move in an incredible coordination, launching a dance. Hindu gods. Da thai thai ta da thai thai ta dao du dai da tho da thai thai ta da thai thai ta dao du dai da tho da thai thai ta da thai thai ta dao du dai da tho, they all said in unison with applause and footsteps. Shiva begins to create afterimages of himself and at great speed appears in front of Isay, starting to hit him. Shiva. Take, shouted, starting to hit Isay, making Isay's infinity useless since the hits went everywhere and Isay receives them full on. Shiva. You're good, but you can't keep up with me, he said confidently as he continued hitting him. Isay. Curse, he's marking the forbidden steps, he said while defending himself so as not to receive much damage, but the blows came from all sides, causing him to receive more than one hit. Isay would throw punches and launch suns, but Shiva would dodge them and at the same time counterattack. At that, Shiva's fists begin to clench. Isay. But what did he say in shock? Then he would receive a blow wrapped in flames. Shiva. I see that you already realized why he said my name, knocking. But then Shiva would jump and, while in the air, would lift his leg to catch fire. Isay. But what? Shiva. Take this, he said, throwing a fire kick. Isay would receive a brutal wound in his chest which would be healed by the flames. Shiva. Well, tell me, did my dance entertain you? He said confidently. Isay. Wow, friend, you should give Kumbaya classes, he said with a smile, looking at the god. Hermes. Vala. Isay, despite receiving such a rain of blows, is still standing, he said excitedly. Isay. Well, it's my turn, he said, raising his hand, creating a blue sphere. Blue cursed energy attraction. He said, throwing the sphere that makes everything around him start to be attracted to the sphere. Shiva is also attracted, but Isay releases the sphere and begins to throw blows that Shiva receives fully. Isay. Now it's my turn, he said, starting to hit him brutally. Shiva would defend himself, but the blows gradually increased, causing a lot of damage to Shiva. Isay. Reverse red cursed energy. He said, creating a red energy and then making it expand, causing Shiva to be shot aggressively. Isay. He hasn't said yet, creating a sphere of fire which multiplies. Crazy provinciality said, throwing multiple fireballs in Shiva's direction. Shiva. Oh friend, this will hurt, he said, receiving each sphere of fire, creating an explosion. Shiva falls to the ground, creating a crack that impacts everyone since another supreme god had fallen. But Shiva wakes up with several wounds. Shiva. Wow, good attack, but I want to ask you, what do you think if we go all out? He said with a smile. Isay. I say the same, he said seriously. Shiva touches his chest in the area of the heart, increasing the speed of his blood flow, causing his entire body to turn red. His arms have a red energy, this being the aura of destruction, and his feet were on fire. But Isay's sun covered him completely, making his body surrounded by flames of the same all over his body. Shiva. "This is my transformation," he said, leaving with his form ready. Isay. "And this is mine," he said in his smart way. Shiva. Tandava Karma, the dance of destruction. Isay. El the only definitive one. The arena begins to feel an incredible heat due to the form of both fighters. Brunhilde Jer Rangdras Esdith. Vamos Isay Doratalo Gritter in al unisono. Harvarti Kali Durga Ganesha. We have Kar's fathers sitting on the floor. Shiva. "I'll burn you up, you know it, boy." Isay. "No, I'll burn you," he said seriously. Both of them launched themselves and began to hit each other brutally. Only the sound of each other's blows and the bones being destroyed and the flesh burning could be heard. Brunhilde. "If both continue, will one of them burn to death?" she said worriedly. Jer. "Don't give up," he said supporting him. Shiva. "You're bucking amazing this. It's the best fight of my life, I scream like crazy." Isay. "Haha, I say the same." They both continued to throw punches at each other without stopping. Odds. "Come on Shiva, defeat him, show him our power." Humans. "Come on Isay, defeat him," they said excitedly. Shiva and Isay are at Recedin. Both start by charging their last attacks. Shiva gets into the lotus flower position, charging his attack in his hands, and Isay begins to accumulate a lot of power in his hands, charging an attack. Shiva Isay. "Receive this." Shiva. Third Eye of Destruction. Isay. Supernova. Both attacks collide, creating a collision of attacks. Neither of them wanted to lose, but Isay's attack surpasses Shiva's, receiving the sun directly, creating a huge explosion. Everyone saw where the explosion happened, and when it stopped they saw something that left them in shock. The god was still alive but unconscious, and you could see 3 of his forearms were destroyed. Everyone couldn't believe what they saw. That boy defeated Odin, Zeus, and Shiva, the 3 supreme gods. Hermes. Wow, what an interesting result. The champion of the Tidonamachi is Haidu Isay. Isay vs Shiva. Winner. Isay. Final technique. Supernova. Brunhilde Jer Rangdras Esdith. "I did it," they shouted in unison. Shiva's wives come down and carry him to the infirmary. And Rangdras and Esdith come down and take Isay to the infirmary. Isay. Gain said to become unconscious. Consequences. Isay had crowned himself not only as the ultimate human, but also obtained several titles such as the God Slayer, the champion of Ragnarok and the Tidonamachi. Currently the boy was helping humanity to rebuild the planet and this time to take care of it. Another interesting fact is that he also had a relationship with Esdith and Rangdras. A relationship between couples. There were problems at first, but then they adapted to their new relationship. The Valkyrie saw Isay as a brother, unlike Rangdras of course. But well, finally that dimension obtained peace. In the DXD world. Things were going from bad to worse. They left Guatemala and entered Guatemala. The Gremory and Citri entourages entered an unimaginable depression. All the girls had dull eyes, they looked like dead people, but the worst were Rias, Akeno and Asia. Iridide wouldn't stop crying and sometimes hurt herself from screaming so loudly. Akeno had a dead look that not even her father could help. Asia felt like the biggest piece of shit in existence. The Gremory entourage couldn't even walk down the streets without the other domains starting to insult them by calling them hitches, luts, bores, among others. Surziches was devastated, Grafiya hated him, and so did her son. Venezuelan and Zudicos did not want to see their daughter in any way, they saw her as just anyone. Sona stopped being the heir of her clan, and Seraphol lost her title. The angels had fallen except the archangels. Azazel stepped down from his position due to problems with his faction, because they now hated him. The mythologies renounced the alliance, leaving them alone. The Baal clan was one of the few that were doing well, being along with the Agares one of the good ones. Zudicos and Venelana began a new life together with Milikas and Grafiya. Currently Vali is the new Lucifer, Saraerg the new Beelzebub, Sikvara was the new Leviathan, and they were going to put an order for what was happening in the underworld. The underworld was falling apart. If it weren't for its new leaders, everything would be worse. Currently in a room you can see the former leaders Surziches, Seraphol, Ajuka, Michael, Azazel, Penemu, Barakiel, along with the Gremory and Citri retinues. Surziches. The situation is going from bad to worse, and it's all our fault, he said depressed. Azazel. Don't even think about it, he said the same to the Retid. Michael. Besides, if it weren't for someone who wanted to turn Isay Kun into a woman and grape him, said Michael with disgust, looking at Barakiel. The aforementioned did not say anything since he wanted to do that, his daughter hates him more than ever. At that moment a group of soldiers entered the room. Soldier 1. Surziches Sama, we found him, said the soldier happily. Soldier 2. He's in another dimension, said a fallen soldier. Azazel. Another dimension, he said, shocked. Soldier 3. Yes, that's right. Michael. And as you know, that's what the Archangel said, hoping that everything would be as it was before. Soldier 4. We managed to find out where he was because we spied on the former Demon Tannen. Soldier 5. Big Red gave him a device to go between dimensions. Azazel. Incredible, he said, unable to believe it. Soldier 6. And after many attempts, we managed to create a machine to see other dimensions. Soldier 7. Besides, we have to say that it is much more powerful, even more than the Trihexa, he said, surprising everyone. Michael. How do you know that? He said, shocked. Soldier 8. This is why he said, showing a hologram of what happened with Isay in the world of Shumatsu no Valkyrie. Everyone was shocked by Isay's new change. They also saw that in that world there were gods like the mythological ones, but much more powerful. The Shiva of that world surpassed the Trihexa, and the dragon gods looked like a stuffed animal when he appeared. Surziches. Incredible, the Zeus and Shiva of that world are very powerful, he said, not believing it. Everyone saw how the gods of that world accepted a proposal known as Ragnarok. Gods versus humans, where Isay helped humanity by fighting on their side. The fights went like this. Isay versus Thor. Everyone saw how Isay had the same strength as Thor, apart from that they could see how he received his attacks as if it were nothing, even though they could destroy any god in his world, as well as leave the strongest seriously injured, and they saw how Isay faced him, even launching their most powerful techniques to deliver a final blow where Isay won. Azazel. Isay became incredibly strong, he said, shocked seeing how he beat the Thor. However, everyone believed that without Isay, the humans who followed would not win, but they would be shocked as the Valkyries of that world became divine weapons for humans. Ross, for his part, saw the Valkyries as heroes for not abandoning humanity and fighting on the side of humans, making her look like garbage for what she did to a single human, making her less, and them sacrificing themselves for everyone equally. The fights went like this. Silikatsin vs Bishamontan, winner equals Bishamontan. Grigori Rasputin vs Anubis Gander equals Anubis. Simoheha vs Loki, winner equals draw. Simon Bolivar vs Poseidon Ganitor equals Simon Bolivar. Esdith vs Susanu, winner equals Esdith. It must be said that in this part the women felt anger towards the aforementioned and did not know why. Raiden Tamaman vs Sun Wukong, winner equals Raiden Tamaman. Napoleon Bonaparte vs Hades, winner equals Hades. Nikola Tesla vs Shiva Ganitor equals Shiva. Lou Buhausen vs Tezcatlipoca Ganitor equals Lou Buhausen. Chester Bennington vs Hercules, winner equals draw. Leonidas vs Zeus, winner equals Zeus. Alexander the Great vs Odin, winner equals draw. Everyone saw how it was an incredible draw and where each one gave everything to win, but in the end it was a draw. So they decided to solve it with one last fight, this being Isay vs Odin. In this fight, Isay and Odin gave everything they had to win this fight. Both gave everything to win. Odin used all his magic to the point of releasing the true form of his spear to defeat Isay, but the aforementioned simply released more of his power, astonishing everyone with such a technique that the former chestnut possessed to defeat and kill Odin. Some time after Isay won Ragnarok, the Zeus of that world proposed the Tyranny, this being an elimination tournament where Isay participated, beating Zeus in the semifinals and Shiva in the final, leaving him as the champion of the same. Surziches. Isay-kun became incredibly strong, he said, shocked. Azazel. We have to get it back. Just imagine, with its power we will be the strongest. Michael. I agree with Azazel. Surziches. Well, it's decided, let's build a dimensional machine and look for Isay, he said decisively. At your order, sir, the soldiers said, informing the scientists of the idea and what they should do. Rias. Very soon my Isay, very soon you will be back in my arms, she said madly. Reunion. Several years have passed where the factions tried to build a machine to be able to travel between dimensions and thus reach Isay. After many attempts, they finally created it, but the only thing missing was knowing which world to go to. After several attempts, they finally discovered which one it was and went there. Universo Shumatsu. After the Tyranny, Isay continued helping humans rebuild the planet and thus teach them to take care of it, but that was not the only thing since the relationship between Isay, Rangdras and Esdith was going very well to the point where Isay had 2 daughters with each one. Currently Isay was arriving from the planet after teaching something to the humans. Upon arrival, he is greeted by 2 girls, one with orange hair and the other with light blue hair. Brita Hija of Isay and Rangdras. Lucy, daughter of Isay and Esdith. Brita Lucy. Daddy, they both said in unison, throwing themselves at Isay to hug him. Isay. Hello daughters, Isay said affectionately to both girls. Lucy. Everything was boring when you weren't there. Brita. We want to play with you, she said, pouting. Isay. Okay, he said, making both girls happy. Isay was playing with his daughters until. Esdith. "Honey, come, dinner is ready," said an Esdith with a better developed body. "Lucy." Mommy said, jumping and hugging her. "Rangdris." "Haha, they seem very close," he said, appearing. And Rita, just like with Lucy, jumped towards her mother. "Isay." "Okay, let's go," he said, and the group went to where the others were. Note: here some humans who fought stayed to live with the Valkyries like Raiden and Lupu. Apart from that, some Valkyries like Jer and Locke are now more adult and have a more developed body. Appearances. Network. Sector. End of note. When the group arrived, everyone settled down to eat and be at peace. Everything seemed to be going well until the portal opens where the leaders of the biblical factions come out along with the Gremory and Citri clans. "Surziches. We finally found you, Isay-kun." "Rias. My Isay, my beautiful peon." Isay. What are you doing here?" he said, annoyed. "Michael." "Isay, we want you back." "Brunhild. So you were the damn ones who betrayed the boy who gave everything for you," she said seriously, "but then." "Brunhild. They are bastards," she said angrily. "Jer. What are you doing here?" she said angrily. "Brist. Not satisfied with ruining your life, they come to do it again," I screamed, annoyed by his aggressive personality. "Azazel. And who do you think you are, demigods?" he said angrily. "Locke. Well, you should know that unlike you, we do fight for humans," she said angrily. "Rias. Isay, get away from them and come with us," she said madly. Isay ignored him until. "Rita. Daddy, who are they?" said the girl, making her features open, their eyes wide. "Lucy. Yes, Daddy," she said with puppy dog eyes, making the eyes of the features open wider. "Azazel. Isay, they are yours," I tried to say, but. Isay. "Yes, they are my daughters," he said seriously. Rias. No. I don't accept it, you are ours," scream annoyed. Bekeno. "Yes, you belong to us," I screamed madly. Zenobia. "Leave those bitches alone and come back to us." Rangdris. "Bitches, the bitches are you," she said seriously. Rias. "And who do you think you are?" Then Rita hugs Rangdris and she, very scared, tells him. Rita. "Mommy, they're very scary," she said, hugging her mother even tighter. Ross. "You damn slept with our man," she said angrily. Crower. Says the cheap attempt of Valkyria, said annoyed. Isay. "That's enough, I won't be back with you," he said angrily. Michael. "Please Isay, come back, we really regret it." Boyle. Says the attempt of Angel, said sarcastically at the end. Note: I didn't say it, but Herver is also older, but I didn't get any images, but since she resembles Locke, just look at the image of Locke and you'll see that she is so similar. End of note. Isay. "Go away," he said, very annoyed, releasing his aura. Surziches. Isay, "Wait, we challenge you to a rating game, you against our best warriors." Isay. "And if I win, what?" Azazel. "We will leave you alone." Michael. "But if we win, you come back." Isay. "I accept," he said seriously. Rangdris. Isay, "No, and if they cheat?" Isay. "Don't worry, I'll be fine," he said determinedly. Isay is teleported to an arena where several magic circles are seen where Sererg, Volley, Saji, Razor, Arthur, and Biku come out. Isay. "Sererg, Volley, if they didn't do anything to me, what are they doing on their side?" he said seriously. Volley. "I don't approve of this, but." Sererg. "We only accepted to fight you again." Isay. It seems like they never change, don't you think, boy?" Both. Heh, yes. Isay. "And you said seen Razor, Saji, Biku and Arthur." Arthur. "I want you to come back to my sister. She's not the same anymore." Razor. "Please come back to my sister Ravel, she's not the same anymore." Biku. "Kuroka wants you back," she said sadly for her friend. Saji. "I'm just here to show you that I'm much stronger than you," he said arrogantly. Isay. "It seems like you'll never change, damn," he said angrily. Saji. "When I'm done with you, I'll keep your new wives," he said confidently. Isay. "What did you say?" upset. Sererg. "Shut up, damn you," he said angrily. Volley. Isay, "If you allow me, I will kill him," he said angrily. Isay. "No need, Volley, I'll take care of them," he said, raising his aura, surprising everyone. Isay. "Come with everything." Arthur takes out all the pieces of the Excalibur, joining them together to form the original. Biku raises his Senjutsu aura. Saji activates his balance breaker. And Razor raises his aura. Volley and Sererg didn't move, they didn't do anything. Isay. "And you who won't fight?" Volley. "After you take out the trash," he said, referring to the rest. Isay. "Very well," he said, raising his aura and launching himself at Biku. Biku threw punches with his staff, but Isay dodged them. Isay. Pathetic, I expected more from you, he said, throwing a punch with great force, breaking Biku's ribs. Biku retreats, very wounded, and Isay launches a cruel sun at him, hitting him squarely, eliminating him. Biku was eliminated. Sona's worried voice was heard. Arthur? But what did you do? He was your friend. He said, throwing a slash with the Excalibur, but Isay blocks it with his axe. Isay. You're wrong, he was my friend, he said, throwing a slash that destroys the Excalibur. Isay. Take this super slash, said, throwing a cut of the edge of his axe, hitting Arthur full on, eliminating him. Arthur Pendragon was eliminated and said Sona was very scared. Saji threw punches with black fire, but Isay dodged them. Isay. Idiot, he dodged blows faster than yours, he said mockingly. Saji. Don't believe me, I have much more where that came from, he said, raising his hands, creating a ball of fire which took the form of a black dragon that collides with Isay, creating an explosion. Saji. Ha 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 ha, I knew you were just a talker, I'll have a lot of fun with your wives, he said crazily. But in that you feel an immense power. Isay. What did you say, annoying? Isay grows in size being 3 meters. Isay appears in front of Saji, grabbing his leg tightly and starting to throw him hard on the floor several times. Note. Like Hulk did with Loki in the 2012 Avengers movie. End of note. Isay releases Saji and then jumps and falls on him, breaking his ribs. Isay grabs Saji's legs and then suddenly rips them off. Saji. Ah, I screamed heartbreakingly. Isay grabs one of his arms and then rips it off, but Isay ignites his hands and then begins to beat him up, causing his face to begin to be disfigured. Saji. Pi pi to po pi, please please, he said weakly. Isay. You do not deserve mercy, he said, putting his foot on Saji's crotch. Saji. No please no, he said desperately. Isay begins to step on his member harder and harder until Isay steps on it so hard that Saji's testicles explode. Serving. Choose your favorite. Isay. Let's finish this, he said, raising his axe, lighting it with flames, and then lowering it with force, creating a huge explosion accompanied by Saji's blood, guts, and organs, creating a horrible scene. Everyone saw this in shock at that act of brutality, except Vali and Sekiryuutei, who, although in shock, knew something. He deserved it. Sona. Saji eliminated, said with tears in her eyes for what she saw. Isay aim at Razor. Isay. I never liked you, but now I'll eliminate you completely. Desperate Razor starts throwing fireballs, but Isay resists them as if nothing. Isay appears in front of Razor and begins to throw multiple punches at high speed. Isay. Tell me Razor you're in tears. Razor. No way, I want to see my sister happy again. Razor. Thank goodness I have this, he said, taking out a bottle with a green liquid. Isay. What is that? Razor. This is a little of the power of the Red Emperor Dragon said, starting to take it to feel an increase in power. Razor with his new power charges a fireball, but it starts to turn green. Razor. Receive this, he said, throwing the sphere, but Isay disappears, appearing behind him. Isay. This is your end, he said, increasing his power. Starting to throw punches at a higher speed, breaking every bone in his body. More or less like that. Isay approaches Razor to grab him by the neck where the blonde looked at him with fear. Isay throws him into the sky where he charges a cruel sun, throwing it with all his strength, causing the blonde to be consumed by the flames, turning into ashes. Sona. Rah Razor Phoenix was eliminated, said shocked. Isay. Very well, who's next? Ali. Well, although you have been very brutal with them. Sekiryuutei. They really deserved it. Isay. Then they will withdraw. Ali. No, I really want to fight. Sekiryuutei. I will. Isay. Bien empezamos. Both activate their balance breaker, launching themselves against Isay, starting a collision of blows that Isay stopped. Sekiryuutei threw punches with greater speed, but nothing that Isay could dodge. Ali threw energy beams, but Isay dodged them. Isay creates a red sphere that was his reverse red cursed energy. The sphere expands, sending both of them flying. Isay. What did you think of that? Ali. Good attack, now it's my turn, he said, switching to his Diabolos dragon form. Sekiryuutei is not far behind, starting to transition into his Imperial Purple Lion King form. Both of them launch themselves against Isay, but he, wanting to end this fight, enters his the one state. Surprising everyone with such a beastly increase in power. He was in another league. Isay creates a cruel sun with all his strength, launching it with so much power that it makes Vali and Sekiryuutei fall unconscious to the floor. Isay. Well, it seems like I won, he said seriously. Final. After Isay defeated the 6 members of the DXD group, he had already won the rating game. Isay. Okay, I won, now leave me alone, he said seriously. Surziches. Isay, why did you kill Saji and Razor? He said, unable to believe it. Isay. Lord Phoenix. Damn, my son just wanted to see his sister happy and you killed him, said the Phoenix Patriarch angrily. Isay. I don't care, I already won, so I'm leaving, he said, about to leave, but some guard stopped him. Guard 1. Not so fast. Isay. And now that he said annoying. Guard 2. The Demonic Council requests your presence. Guard 3. Come by good means or we will use violence. Isay just sighs and goes with the guards to see what those mummies want. A while later. Isay was in front of the Demonic Council who looked at him with arrogant smiles. Isay. They really want to, he said seriously. Old Man 1. More respect, brat. Old Man 2. Now that you are here, you are denied access to the underworld. Elder 3. And you will be engaged to many demonic heiresses. Isay. And because he said it very upsettingly. Old Man 4. It's not obvious. Elder 5. We have seen your struggle with the gods of that world. Elder 6. Those gods easily surpass Trihexa. Old Man 7. So give up, brat, and accept your fate. Isay, very annoyed, releases his aura. Isay. Never said, very annoyed, starting to release all his power, causing the underworld to begin to tremble. Azazel. What power? Said incredulously. Isay. Leave me alone, he said, releasing more power. Surziches. Isay, stop or I'll be forced to act, he said, releasing his power, but it was overshadowed by Isay's. Isay. If you saw my life in the other dimension, you will know that I defeated the god of destruction, a being who surpasses you in power, and you know it very well. Azazel. Isay, please calm down, he said, releasing his power. Isay. The Odin I faced has more magic than all of you together, he said angrily. Michael. Isay, we understand all your power but calm down please. Isay. He never said, releasing more power. Rias. Very well, Gabriel, now, he said as the angel came out and shot an arrow at him that Isay easily stops with his hand. Isay. I'm fed up already. Isay creates several suns, throwing them towards everyone, destroying the entire territory of the Demonic Council. Azazel. Isay, you leave us no other option, he said, activating his balance breaker. Surziches unleashes his full power of destruction, causing the underworld to begin to tremble, showing his true form. Michael draws the sword of Ascalon, unleashing more power and being covered by knight armor. Barakiel unleashes the full power of his lightning bolts. Isay releases much of his power and everyone rushes against him. Barakiel throws his lightning bolts with all his power. But Isay receives them as if they were nothing. Isay appears in front of Barakiel, starting to hit him and breaking his ribs. Isay. You know, damn it, I'll tell you right now, your daughter is a bitch who's only interested in being bathed in semen, he said seriously. Barakiel. Don't talk like that about Akeno, he said angrily. Isay. But I see that I bring out the perverted in you because I remember that you wanted to steal Azazel's hex-changing weapon to become a woman and in that way. Make me your damn hex toy again, he said angrily. Barakiel said nothing. Isay. Well, you should be happy because very soon you will be reunited with your dead wife. Well, you won't be going to the same place as her. Isay grabs Barakiel tightly by the neck and then sends him flying while Isay charges a fire attack and then begins to launch a combo of blows wrapped in fire. Something like that causing Barakiel to be charred and turn into ashes. Azazel. No, Barakiel said sadly. Azazel launches himself at Isay with a spear in his hand, but Isay easily stops him, destroying his armor with one blow. Isay launches himself against Azazel, beginning to hit him with force where his blows were bathed in fire, then giving him a fire headbutt and then dragging him on the ground and finishing him off with an explosion of fire. Something like that but with orange flames and not purple. Azazel was very injured while a lot of blood came out of his body. He tried to get up but some demons surrounded him. Then Vali appears, already recovered, and says. Vali. You will be imprisoned for what you have done, he said seriously. Azazel. Vali, you know that I see you as a son, just like Isay. Please help us, he said, wounded. Vali. Well, you should have thought about it after what you did to Isay. The guards tear off Azazel's wings and then take him to the dungeon. But Isay, he hit Michael like Surziches with his fire, making them both retreat. Michael. In the name of my father I will destroy you, he said, throwing a spear of light with all his power. Isay receives it without receiving a scratch, but Surziches launches a sphere of destruction with all his power, but despite that it was not enough. Isay. I'll finish this at once, said Isay, increasing his power. Expansion of immeasurable empty domain, he said, making both of them go to a world with nothing, only stars and a huge eye that gave them a lot of information. Isay. This is the end, he said angrily, throwing punches at each one. Isay knocks Michael to the floor and with his hands full of fire, creates claws that begin to tear the angel apart. After leaving Michael half dead, Isay launches himself at Surzich's, starting to hit him and then finishing him off with a blast of fire, sending him flying, badly injured. After that, he approaches where a big red guy comes out and takes a human form. "Red. Isay, stop, I'll take care of this garbage," he said, approaching Michael, raising his hand, causing his power to pass to it, launching a burst of power that disintegrates Michael. "Michael. No, please no," I screamed desperately, but it was too late. Surzich's watched this with fear until Red approached where he was. "Red. Damn trash, why didn't you let him live in peace? Not content with killing his parents, you want to make his life miserable, you're scum," he said, hitting him and then throwing spheres of power that make him end up half dead. Surzich's. "Ah," I screamed in pure pain. Isay approaches where the demon is stepping on his head. Surzich's. "Your RR pen, you will regret it," he said weakly. Isay just throws a kick destroying the demon's head, ending his life definitively. "Red. Isay, look, I'll take care of the rest. I'll just tell you that those bitches will receive a great punishment." The dragon opens a portal directly to the world of Shuematsu where Isay enters. Upon entering, he is greeted by the worried Valkyries who go to him very scared. Isay's daughters hug their father, thinking he had some kind of wound. Isay. "I'm fine now, don't worry." They all calm down and decide to ask her what happened. A little while later everyone was gathered and calmer after Isay told them what happened. They were all happy until a portal opens where Big Red comes out in his human form. Brunhold and Wrist blush deeply when they see him. The Dream Dragon shows an image of what he did to the Chestnut's former harem. Showing how he made the girls fall into a deep sleep or rather an endless nightmare where they saw their worst nightmares. Then Sarah Erganvali took them to the Cocytus where they were frozen for all eternity and where they could not wake up from their nightmares. Isay. "They deserve that," he said, very happy with what happened to them. The dragon was retreating after that. Isay. "It seems that everything is over, don't you think?" he said, looking at the Valkyries. Brunhold. "It seems that she said she was happy that everything was resolved." Isay's daughters Rita and Lucy embrace their father in a bear hug, not wanting to let go in any way. Isay hugs them affectionately, then his wives arrive and hug him. "Finally it's all over," said the brown-haired man in his mind, although he would like my parents to be able to see their granddaughters, he thought sadly about that. At night. Isay was sleeping until he was in a very beautiful white field, an immense garden. Isay. "Where am I?" Lucy. "Poppy." Rita. "Poppy." They said going to the chestnut tree. Isay. "Daughters, where are we?" he said, hugging his daughters. Boru. "Hello son," said a voice that Isay recognized as his father. Isay. "Papa," said, shocked to see him. Mickey. "And he's not the only one," said the chestnut's mother. Isay. Mom said with tears in her eyes from seeing them again. Lucy. "Daddy, who are they?" Isay. "Daughter, they are your grandparents," he said to his daughter. Boru. "So they are our granddaughters," he said, looking at the girls. Mickey. "They are very pretty," said the brunette with a smile. Both chestnuts explained to Isay that the Dream Dragon gave him this opportunity to be in Isay's dreams and thus be with him once again. Isay gratefully accepts with great red and he and his daughters begin to talk and play with their parents. Until time ran out. The bodies of both chestnut trees begin to turn into dust, disappearing to finally rest in peace. In that. Isay wakes up very happy about what happened. Isay looks at the sky and speaks. Isay. "Thank you very much, Big Red. Thank you very much," he said with tears of pure happiness. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.